Very warm welcome to Trent Bridge for the Blaze versus the Sunrisers in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. It is a great pleasure to have your company wherever you are across the world for this one. The Blaze have won the toss and decided to have a bat. They know that if they win with the bonus point, they will take top spot. They will have the golden hand coming into finals day at Worcester next weekend, where of course third faces second, the right to play first from across the group stages in the final. They could also secure top spot today if later on the Northern Diamonds fail to beat the Southern Vipers. And of course the Blaze would prefer to get the job done here in front of a crowd that's building nicely in the summer sunshine, part of a doubleheader later on. Lancashire likely play the Nottinghamshire Outlaws in the T20 Blast on the men's side. I'm Michael Gannon. I'm delighted to say, alongside me on this optimistic, sunny morning, which really is set up perfectly for us, is the former Somerset cricketer, current PhDer in all things women's sport and visibility. A very good morning to Hannah Thompson-Radford.
Morning. That was a very kind intro as well.
All deserved, and I'm looking forward to talking a bit about your PhD at some point. But for a start, let's run you through what is going on here. 3 changes for the Blaze. Nat Siver-Brunt, Sarah Glenn and Tammy Beaumont come in. Not a bad triple to run back into your lineup. Catherine Bryce, Michaela Kirk and Josie Groves make room. The Sunrisers are unchanged from the side that lost by 7 wickets to the Western Storm with 10 balls remaining. And those changes for the Blaze coming from the team that got that victory against the Northern Diamonds, chasing their target pretty comfortably, winning by 6 wickets with 4.2 overs to spare, and that is what has very much given them the whip hand in the table. They are 6 points clear of the Diamonds with 2 games left, and the Diamonds themselves are 4 points above the Vipers, who have a game in hand, and those two, as mentioned, meet today. Out come the umpires, swiftly followed by the Sunrisers, who've had a tough season of it so far, it has to be said. They've not found life easy going at all. They won their very first game in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy against the Southern Vipers, but have lost 8 games in a row across all competitions since, apart from one match that was abandoned against the Thunder. They're looking to stop the rot. As for the Blaze, it couldn't be any different. In all of their 8 completed games this season, they have had the delightful taste of victory. If they do that again and get that net run rate bonus of being 1.25 times better, then they will secure top spot. You can see them heading out to the middle. The Sunrisers in that curious kit colour combination of a kit, mainly black but with some shades of orange and yellow at the top. And the 2 Blaze openers ready to continue. It's been a blazing season for them so far, if you forgive the blatantly obvious pun that was staring me right in the face. Tammy Beaumont to face up first ball. And Hannah, what a player to bring in, or bring back.
Yeah, no, bring back. She's been the glue to the Blaze this season so far. She's been in the runs on many occasions, and 2 games ago as well, she stuck at it against the Southern Vipers in what was kind of the top of the table clash, and really saw the Blaze through to an emphatic win in the end.
So Beaumont just going through her last little shuffles, as you can see. Bryce at the non-strikers. Tammy Beaumont so far in this competition this season with just short of 150 runs. She's only been out 3 times and she has a strike rate of 145. Of course, a long-time England international player that needs no introduction really to anyone who's even followed women's cricket on a cursory basis across a long time. Well, the first ball of the game, Eva Gray. Sounded good straight off the bat from Beaumont, but it is also straight at point.
Yeah, we're playing quite far on the right-hand side of us today, aren't they?
yeah, we're not in the absolute best position to judge LBW, so forgive us, dear viewer, if we're not as accurate as we might like to be on those. Down leg, not the best delivery, and that will be wided. Very well have to re-bowl that one. Tidy tootsies. Way to her left-hand side from Amarika, the keeper. Just getting those legs moving, and it's always a nice gift when a bowler gives you one like that. Just what you want early doors. Back of a length, nicely bowled. Beaumont just has to push it back.
Yeah, that was a much better response from Eva Gray. Found her line much better there.
Yeah, I set up the form before this one. It really couldn't be more contrasting if you tried.
And unfortunately it's season's worth as well, isn't it? Sunrisers have really struggled year on year.
Nice looking shot from Beaumont, just flicks this away. There is 2 sweepers out there. It's round to keep it to 1. 3 without loss, 2 without loss, beg your pardon. Beaumont off the mark. Now, Bryce taking guard.
Yeah, interesting to see Sarah Bryce up the order. She did so well in the last game. Hitting, I think it was 68, wasn't it?
67
67.
off 43. With 6 4s and 3 6s in that run chase. She really demolished the back of it against the Northern Diamonds.
Yeah, batting higher up the order, doing her well.
It's down leg, and the game will be another wide. Power play time, of course, and one reason why Gray is sort of targeting the pads here is that she's got sweeper out at deep square leg. She had one out at deep fine leg, and she's adjusted the field now. She's now got a deep third and a deep square leg in a 5-4 offside field. It's another wide. Just can't quite get this radar right early doors. 4 without loss.
Not what she wants at all. Of course, you've got the fielding restrictions as well.
Always an unforgiving time to bowl. Oh, awkward! Oh, gone! Gone, chopped on! It came off the inside edge onto the pad and then rolled onto the stumps. It all seemed to happen slightly in slow motion. And Sarah Bryce, who was the heroine of that victory against the Northern Diamonds with a quick-fire 67 in the run chase, has to go here for a golden duck, 4 for 1.
You could see what she was trying to do, but she unfortunately, as you mentioned, edged it straight onto her pads and it rolled back and sent the bells off. Much better from Sunrisers, but again, it's not been the best of starts, has it? Struggled with that line, but nonetheless picked up an important wicket of Bryce.
Now listen to the roar. There was quite the audible cheer there. It is a name that needs no introduction. I will try it nonetheless. Nat Sivabrun already has 136 runs in this competition this season, including that 96 not out, at a strike rate of just 167 per 100 balls, which, when you translate that into economy rate, is still more than 10. This is one of those players who, in the unlikely event that you're tuning in and you've never had the pleasure, sit back and enjoy Nat Sivabrun on a sunny day at Trent Bridge. What could be better?
And we've got a good, decent crowd in so far, and it's going to grow throughout this match because, of course, we've got a double header later on. And we'll definitely want to see Nat Sivabrun in action.
Just guided away. Nice little touch shot, and this outfield is pretty fast. Nice, comfortable too, and that is the sign of a player in touch. Wasn't even that bad a delivery. Still gets a couple for it.
Made it look so simple. Nice way to get off the mark.
Tell you what, a lot has happened in this over from Gray. We've still got one ball left of it. The first over from this, the pavilion end. So that's a dot to end the first over. 6 for 1. And Beaumont and Siverbrunt both back into the team and both out there. Now we'll get going from the Radcliffe Road end, our end of the ground. We've got a beautiful view up here. Really could not be better. It is interesting, Trent Bridge is the kind of ground where sometimes, depending on where you are, the square is so big you can get some very short boundaries. I wouldn't say there's a particularly short one today.
No, it's put me off a little bit because I'm so used to seeing one of the wickets more central. We are quite far across on that strip, aren't we?
Yeah, we're sort of away to the right a little bit.
So
but not really such that there's actually a short boundary.
Yeah, I think it feels like the legs might be slightly shorter, but I don't know if it's an illusion.
Yes, good old optical illusions.
As Kopak was just doing a bit of shadow bowling there, I thought we'd almost missed the first ball of her delivery. Practicing her run through, it seems. So Kate Kopak back into the Sunrisers mix.
She's only bowled 5 overs in this competition this season. Picked up 1 for 37.
Beaumont facing. And respectfully darts it out to the fielder, and good intent from the field. Grace Scrivens there trying to make her side.
Yeah, and then was
noise.
keen to zing it into the gloves of Carr, who then zinged it to Scrivens, who'd run in 10 yards. And that kind of interplay between keeper and fielder. Yeah, exactly.
Kopak steams in. Right arm over. And Beaumont smashes it back, but it will only get a single.
To mid-on, fielded by Aktaba Maqsood. 8 for 1.
Familiar face in the Midlands, playing for Birmingham Phoenix. Played against Trent Rockets here on a few occasions. Part of the Scottish contingent. So a lot of Scotland players here today.
Yeah, there is actually. Now I come to think of it, quite a few.
Let's go back to Siverbrunt this time, who smashes it, and it will be the first boundary of the day. Didn't have to do too much work there.
Yeah, this was just classic Nat Siverbrunt. Looked like she had so much time. It's the kind of shot that really is quite dispiriting for an opening bowler, particularly if you're just thinking about maybe you can extract something out of the surface with that new swinging ball. That pitch looks pretty flat. Do you know what? Funnily enough, it looks even more flat when Nat Siverbrunt's facing up.
He does look like an absolute road there today. And the sun is shining as well. Good weather conditions. So Kopak looks to respond. A bit of a wider delivery. Beaumont finds Siverbrunt, finds fielder.
Yeah, valuable dot. You know, speaking of short boundaries, it actually reminds me of something I saw them talking about on the Wisden Cricket podcast. I think it would have been about a month ago with Nat Siverbrunt. They kind of riffed into it after discussions about Stokes and 60-metre boundaries on the men's side of the Ashes.
Siverbrunt facing Kopak again, and she smashes that back. Another boundary. That came off the bat beautifully timed.
Shot. What a shot that is. Stand and deliver. Nat Siverbrunt looking $1 million and everything more here. She's into double figures from just 5 balls faced. And I think even if you're watching this as a Sunrisers supporter, you have to just stand and applaud.
Yeah, hit it straight past mid-off. There's no chance she was going to be stopping that. And again, she finds the gap. Splits the fielders through the covers, and another boundary to her total. Nat Siverbrunt 14 off 6. Beaumont standing at the other end, having to idolise.
19 for 1 off 2. And as well as a bit of Gwen Stefani on in the background, what you can silently hear is some really big flashing warning sirens. If you are a Sunrisers supporter, it hasn't been the easiest of seasons so far. Now you've got this to deal with. Lovely side on view. You can see the timing is perfect.
Just textbook.
Yeah. Top hand leading it, bottom hand coming through, offering the power. Now they're going to turn to spin here from the pavilion end. Maddie Villiers, who has been their best bowler in this competition this season. She's only gone for 6.4 and over, the tightest in terms of economy rate. And their joint top wicket taker alongside the skipper Castle. Villiers put a lid on things. And for now, good footwork from Beaumont. Good combination, these two as well, because they hit in very different areas. And even on it sounds simplistic, but even on a height level difference, that really does make a factor into things, as that's whipped away by Beaumont for 1, 20 for 1. You know, what is a good length ball to one player is just not to another, and it's just a matter of fact, really.
Yeah, it's so good to see England allowing the players to participate in this competition.
Short. Wasn't it? Well, I say short. It was not the worst ball, but length was picked up very quickly by Siva Brunt. She's 22 for 1. So to finish the point about the boundaries, they're essentially saying there was a point when Mark Robinson and the coaching staff were trying to get Nat Siva Brunt to believe in her own ability a lot more. And it was the 2016 series against Pakistan where this happened. Sweepers out at long on and deep mid-wicket now. Square leg's been brought in. Beaumont likes the sweep. Might be thinking of it here. Instead, Beaumont hits that hard, but straight at extra cover. So they brought in all the boundaries pretty much as far in as they were allowed to do so. And Nat Siva Brunt smashed it everywhere against Pakistan in that series. Beaumont does go on the sweep, as I anticipated she might. It was not the best ball from Villiers, but put away beautifully. 25 for 1. Runs coming at a pace. Tammy Beaumont's first boundary.
She found the gap superbly. And the experience that these two have, I've just been trying to work out the maths, which I'll work out in a minute, but the amount of caps that these two must have in the T20 format as well. If you're watching in the ground as well, what an opportunity to see two experts at the game.
And again, this one's through point. Villiers is kicking the turf in frustration. Beaumont at her best. Back-to-back boundaries to finish the third over, which after a good start ends up going for 10 as well. 29 for 1 off 3.
Yeah, really decent over. And Maddie Villiers as well is someone who was a part of the England set-up between 2019 when was that last game for England? 2021. So hasn't been in the mix for the last couple of years. But it's someone who's definitely got a lot of experience and is trying to get back into that setup, which made ever more difficult.
Kelly Castle on from our end.
Radcliffe Road end.
Yep. And is just trying to work out how she's going to be the fourth bowler to try and contend with how to stop these two in the power play.
Trying to give different questions to the batters. Picked up 1 for 24 in her last fixture against Storm. Siva Brunt faces a wider delivery. It's going to be signal wide.
So far in the tournament, the Sunrisers' joint top wicket taker alongside Villiers with 7 has gone for just under an 8 and over across the competition. Castle.
Should be hoping to do a bit better than that today, though, I imagine. Try and restrict the blaze as much as possible. Siva Brunt faces and smashes that back, but there will be a fielder there, so I'll just get the 1 run.
Yeah, fielded by Villiers.
Hit hard. Easy in the field in the end.
Yeah, you can hear the way the ball is crunching off the bat of both of these two. It is quite ominous if you're a Sunrisers supporter.
Still in the power play. 31 for 1. departure of Bryce early doors. Beaumont flicks it off her leg. We're going to run a quick single. Fielders misfilled it on this occasion. It should have been an easier pickup, but it just rolled underneath. That backward square leg.
You mentioned T20I experience between these two. That's Siva Brunt with 108 women's T20 internationals.
Same areas again, but no run on this occasion.
And a certain Tamsin Tilly Beaumont, well, she's not normally referred to, with 99 women's T20 internationals. And between them, they have, a bit of quick maths, around 3,800 runs.
Jeez.
In that. 12 50s for Siva Brunt, 10 for Beaumont, and a ton.
Siva Brunt should find a gap, but it's an excellent fielding.
Oops, Kopak.
Keeps it just to one.
Diving away to her left. And those are the kind of small things that can really make a difference to a team's momentum. The batter's left a bit frustrated, the strike changes. They only get one.
Beaumont 12 off 11. Facing this delivery, looks to switch it, but doesn't get any bat on it. The dot ball, a decent dot ball as well from Kelly Castle.
This could be the first over in a long while that's not had a boundary in it.
Still another delivery to come. So Beaumont moves her feet and hits an aerial in the air. And that is going to be the first maximum of the day. 6 runs, a huge shot from Tammy Beaumont. Just ruining your stat there.
Well, people who believe in the commentator's curse will be only all the more adamant of its existence now. This was classic Beaumont. She likes to get funky and clever in her crease. She loves her sweeps. And she also knew that it's deep mid-wicket out, but there's no one really out in that region, so even if she hits it a bit, there's a bit of wriggle room as such. 39 for 1 off 4.
That's how you end an over.
Certainly is. So the first over went for 6. Every other over since then has gone for a minimum of double digits. Nicely bowled that one from Gray, who's back on. Bowled that first over, that went for the aforementioned 6. It was maybe taken off because there was a few wides in that one. They decided they wanted to try spin. You'll notice now that the keeper, Amara Carr, is standing up just to try and trap that Siva Brunt in her crease, not give her quite as much freedom to roam around. Down the ground from Nat Siva Brunt. Stand and deliver. No need to move for that one. Save your legs. Into the 20s and looking very ominous here. 21 off 12. Bang.
One bounce forward. Looked like it was almost going to go for a 6, but didn't quite have the legs on it. But this is superb from Nat Siva Brunt.
Makes room this time, and Gray went wider. And Siva Brunt just carves it away through deep third for 4. Well, they're having to answer the question that bowlers all around the world are asking themselves so often. How do you bowl to Nat Siva Brunt in form like this?
Absolute masterclass. It's the first time I've actually got to witness Nat Siva Brunt in person this season, because I was down in Taunton the last time that she was playing here, I believe. I
can feel us both vibing, enjoying it, and it is a joy.
She missed a few of the fixtures and a bit of the rest and rotation that England are doing at the moment. So good to see her perform for the Blaze. And if you're not in Trent Bridge right now, get down.
Straight at short mid-wicket, well fielded by Maqsood. Sweet relief of a dot ball for the Sunrisers.
It's a glorious day here. I believe there's still tickets available, and if you are local, Don't sit at home.
Yeah,
Come
absolutely.
down.
Part of the double header, of course. Men's game starting at 3 p.m, but right now full focus on action that is in front of us. One of quite a lot of double headers that have been seen right across the Charlotte Edwards Cup. It's a pretty new thing this season.
Yeah, because back in the Kia Super League, there were some double headers, etc. The 100 is the perfect example of double headers done right.
Sivabrunt gets that through, and it has managed to escape past point. It will be a third 4 of the over for Nat Sivabrunt, who is absolutely flying. Might be a little bit frustrated, Jo Gardner, not to have managed to got her body behind it. Sivabrunt will accept the gift. Just diving away to her right. It wasn't easy, in fairness. It does go very quickly, not just off the bat of Nat Sivabrunt, but off this outfield too. 50 up in style with another boundary. Hasn't quite timed this. And because she hasn't quite timed this, it will give them the opportunity to consider 2, but they turn it down. 53 for 1 at the end of the 5th. That's Sivabrunt dominating the scoring and dominating proceedings ever since the moment she's walked to the wicket here at Trent Bridge. If you wish to give us a tweet, remember you can. Hannah is on at HannahJTR_, and yours truly, Michael McCann, is on at ThisIsMcCann, MCCANN. Let us know where you're watching from, what you make of what we've seen so far. If you've got any questions about the Charlotte Edwards Cup this season, women's cricket in general, fire it at us and we'll do our best to answer it. Remember, you can get the Sunrisers on at SunrisersCrick, CRICK. Their hashtag commonly used is Rise Up, and you can get the Blaze on at the Blaze Cricket with hashtag Fired Up, the one to be used. Yet another bowling change here. The 5th bowler brought into the attack already, and that often does speak to a side who are trying to quell a dangerous partnership. Aktaba Maksoudin.
It's a bit of flight, but Sivabrunt will get off the mark here in this over with a single.
Maksoud, the leg spinner, who hasn't been as successful as she might have liked in this competition so far this season. Just 2 wickets. It's gone for 7.9 and over, an average of 61. It's not an easy art, of course, leg spin.
Beaumont on strike. Hits the pads and it trembles away. Beaumont wants 2 though. And bat's grounded. Grounded, she'll make that safely. Leg by. So you've probably heard in the background there a roar of applause for the 2nd wicket partnership. 51 from 29 balls from the England internationals.
31 of those off the bat of Sivabrunt, who has really led the charge.
As Beaumont will face once again, makes a move, hits over the top, and it's going to be 1 bounce 4.
Well, this is, again, not an entirely dissimilar shot to the previous over. We know that she's one of the best around at using her crease. Just watch the footwork from Beaumont. Ends up sort of side on when striking it, but she knows that's where her gap is. And again, as long as she gets that over the inner ring, she's getting runs, if not 4 of them.
Maksoud looking to give a response to Tammy Beaumont. He's on 22 or 15 at present. Moves her feet again. It's aerial. It's over the top. And a couple bounces and 4 runs.
Beaumont's starting to get into her stride as well now. Back-to-back boundaries. Met it on the half volley. Met it very cleanly.
Very clean indeed. Straight out the middle of the bat. Down to the long off region. Couple bounces. And across the boundary rope. Scotland international is Maksoud. Leg spinner comes into Beaumont, who again swipes it down, but this time will just be the 1 run.
It's almost got to the point where these two are going so well, it's surprised when there is a dot or a single. Boundaries starting to come almost at will, it feels.
Siva Brunt face and uses her feet and finds the gap through, recovers. Another boundary to the total.
Yeah, very expensive first over from Maqsood. Not an easy job, of course, coming on in this situation. It goes for 14 on her figures and then 2 leg buys as well. So 68 for 1 off 6 after the power play. It is the proverbial commentary cliche of one-way traffic so far. Now Villiers is going to come back from the pavilion end, it looks like. At the very least can put a few more scouts out now the power play is done. But of course, it's only one of 4 games across this competition today. Central Sparks are batting against the Western Storm after winning the toss and choosing to do so. That started earlier on than us. They're 95 for 3 in the 16th against the Western Storm at Bristol. It's coming right arm around. Sort of looked like a bit of almost a hockey style shot there from Beaumont, who has played a fair bit of hockey in her time.
Yeah. And apparently once she finishes with cricket, which hopefully won't be anytime soon, she does want to dabble back into hockey. Yeah. She told me recently.
I can see why. There's certain shots she plays where it comes through. The sweep shots is the obvious one. Shorter from Siva to Siva Brunt.
There is an overlap between the skill sets though, isn't there, between hockey, cricket and even a bit of tennis. There's some players who do a bit of tennis with that hand-eye coordination.
It's interesting, so having the pleasure of commentating on the Women's T20 World Cup qualifiers, Division 2 in Jersey this week. More footwork, was trying to just place in the gap for 2, hasn't quite done it there, Beaumont. So the Jersey team, I mean, it was almost really the Jersey kids, the Jersey girls, like almost all of them were 15 or 16, but a heck of a lot of them were all dual internationals already, which, my goodness me, that makes any mere mortal feel somewhat inadequate when you've got people who are dual senior internationals at that age and playing very impressively for their country as well. Goes on the reverse, Siva Brunt, and gets it away through short third. That was all she needed to do. Just beat that fielder in there. Did exactly that. First boundary of the over, 75 for 1. And Siva Brunt is going at bang on to a ball, 40 off 20. She is a runaway train right now.
I mean, it looks so simple. She just stood there and just sent it around the corner without any difficulty at all. She's just making this look very, very easy out there.
Yeah, they haven't really got any coverage behind square of the wicket on either side in terms of boundary riders. That was the thought behind the shot. This time swept hard for 1. Yeah, it's one of the most common crossovers, that cricket and hockey, or is the Jersey girls calling it crocky, which is a phrase I've heard from a few people about sort of the way the skill sets can intertwine. Again, sounded good off the bat, just plugs for 1 though. Beaumont has 30. End of the over, 9 off it, 77 for 1 off 7, so all the 7s. For those sort of maybe a little bit curious to know more about that, as we have a look at the scorecard. The end of Bryce for none off 1 after wasn't quite her day. Very much the way cricket can go sometimes. That rapid 67 against the Diamonds, and then everyone can get a first baller on any day. That's the bowling figures. It makes for disappointing reading for the Sunrisers, albeit not an easy task so far, and still only 1 over in the innings has gone for single figures until the over we've just had. So 5 of the 7 so far have gone for 10 or more. That reflects the dominance that this pair have had.
Okay, go back into the attack. Seema finds a bit of pace as well. Pulls out of her run-up for some reason.
normally the point where you always just get someone who insists on shouting something like mix it, keep mixing it up. It's always just that kind of naff chat.
We should go into a delivery stride this occasion. There'll be a wide delivery. A bit too far outside that off. Yeah, you mentioned dual internationals, and of course the story here at Blazers, Sarah Glenn was down the hockey route and on the England books, but then chose cricket, and what a decision that was. Beaumont facing again. Twist it round the corner. Fielder stops it, but takes a bit of a pace off, but when you hit it that hard, it's going to go straight through for 4.
Yeah, it's got through Gardner there. There was plenty on it from Beaumont. Again, using their crease intelligently.
The way these two are batting, it wouldn't surprise me if they set a record on the most boundaries in a Charlotte Edwards Cup match.
Well, it's funny you say that, because everyone's favourite cricket statistician has been in touch.
Ooh.
Or one of.
Oh, hopefully I'm on the same page then. Beaumont faces. Again, just hits that behind for a quick single. Looks a bit disappointed with herself, but kind of says a lot about how she's performing today, because normally that would be a decent shot just to rotate, but...
Well, it's leg by. That's why she's disappointed.
Oh, I thought she got it off the bat.
So
good spot.
At _hypercourse, who seems to be sort of the cricket statistician's version of Banksy. This person, nobody knows who this account is, but they just constantly are watching all women's cricket and tweeting brilliant stuff. Says, this is the East Midlands region's highest power play total in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. The Blaze and Lightning's best have been 57, and also higher than anything the Loughborough Lightning ever managed in the KSL. And it's not just the highest, it's 10 higher. No less.
Siverbrunt on strike. Decides to leave that one, and umpire will signal that wide.
So in terms of sort of the boundaries you were alluding to and the level of carnage, you were right on the button.
It's nice to be on the same page for once.
Yeah, and of course the Blaze sort of a new iteration of things, hence running through those different names and eras. Sort of looped up over the keeper who's up. It will be byes. It's that classic thing where everybody's glancing at the umpire for their expert take on things. Remember, later on today at Blackpool it's the Thunder versus the South East Stars, and at Leeds it's the Northern Diamonds versus the Southern Vipers. That's a big game in particular. Second versus third.
Go back to Beaumont. Hits that hard into the ground. Rotates the strike.
So interesting here, they've got pretty much everybody back on the onside. They've got a 5-4, but everyone's back on the onside apart from short fine leg. So field is really set for Kopak to offer no width, or very little, unless it's a double bluff. Oh, now this is interesting. So short fine leg is going out, square leg's coming up. Ring of 4 on the offside, then deep extra.
Can the field adjustments put a bit of pressure on Siverbrunt, or will she go out straight over the top? She hits it along the floor, but they're going to come back for 2. And it's easy in the end.
Good hard running. It is not a short boundary out there at all, and they're back that they get that second on the arm, and indeed they did.
That's what players say they want, isn't it? They want to be able to run the 2s and 3s on boundary sizes and everything. It's not just a 4 and 6 game. They want to be able to...
And you want a ground where you don't really have miss hits necessarily, going for 4s and 6s consistently.
Exactly. And that came straight out the middle of the bat. Fielder gets a hand on it, but it will roll away for 4 runs. I'm sure you can hear on the effects mic how...
I don't think you need us to tell you,
how hard that's coming out of that middle. And that's Siverbrunt in full control here at Trent Bridge.
I think the fielder actually just got a little bit on it, but not enough to really sort things out in terms of stopping it. 92 for 1 off 8, just making room in her crease. Yeah, there might have been just a little flick off the arm of Grace Scrivens, who herself is, of course, one of the rising stars of English women's cricket. Of course, it's a big summer in so many senses. The Women's Ashes, the Washes, as I know I've heard some people, including the Nobles Cricket Podcast, referring to it as. And this is very much one of the showpiece venues for that. June the 22nd to the 26th, that rarest of rare things, a 5-day women's test match here. So good. So good. Still tickets very much available.
There's even tickets with like hospitality and all sorts as well.
Oh, yeah.
So treat yourself.
Come down and do exactly that. Now, Castle to bowl from Pavilion End. For loopy medium paces, slightly dicey single. I tell you what, had that been a direct hit, might have been interesting here.
Well, even if the throw was just a bit more accurate, not having to make a Maracas full stretch.
Georgie Boyce, slightly dicey single, 93 for 1. Hard out to long off, but one of those where that's almost been hit too hard to allow the possibility of a 2.
Sivabrunt now on 48 off 25 deliveries. Beaumont at the other end, 36 off 24.
Yeah, her best in this competition, that Sivabrunt this season, is double that, 96 not out against the Sparks. Okay, sounded good off the bat. Game will be just 1. 95 for 1. Said get in touch. It's always particularly cool to me when people get in touch in all sorts of parts of the world. It makes you realise the sort of magic of streaming. Mike, watching on his trip from DuPont in DC, in the US of A.
Oh wow.
Again, this will be, might just think of 2 this time, but again they turn it down. Well fielded by Gray. 4 singles in this over so far.
There's a lot in the world of cricket going on in USA as well, isn't there?
Certainly is. Of course, the co-host of the Men's 2024 World Cup. There's a big summer of qualifiers going on for that in Europe. Nicely struck again by Beaumont. Again, not quite in the gap enough to get 2. 5 singles. So that's in Edinburgh at the end of July, where Scotland and Ireland will start the favourites, but that will be a very competitive qualifier. And they've expanded the Men's T20 World Cup to 24 teams. So that means that 2 from that will go straight through. Previously they'd have gone to another regional qualifier. Sivabrunt nurdles this away. And that will be the 50. 50 off 27 balls. An imperious knock from Nat Sivabrunt. It has been a joy to watch it from the moment she's walked to the wicket. It's been all class. 9 4s. Striking at 185 per 100 deliveries faced. 98 for 1 off 9, and having got 96 not out against the Sparks, I tell you what, if she bats through, today might well be the day to turn up.
Absolutely, and it's been an absolute masterclass. People here in Trent Bridge really gave that a huge applause. Entertaining knock so far. Talking of USA as well, of course, the Fairbreak Global Invitational is September in America. So a few of the players here will be going to that tournament, I imagine.
Yeah, there's plenty in Jersey as well, likes of Tina Goff, who won Player of the Tournament despite Germany not quite qualifying. It was Italy and France that went through, which was a bit of a surprise. Is Maksud.
Leg spinner. Sivabrunt, same as before. They're going to come back for 2, and they get back safely. A bit of a wayward throw, but same as before, just a huge knock from the middle of the bat. Is it down to that deep mid-wicket area? And the pair come back for 2, nice and easy. Sivabrunt still facing, moves her feet. again, another boundary, a huge 6.
It's one of those days where you sense records could start tumbling here if these two stay in.
I couldn't actually see where the ball went in that previous delivery. That describes how hard she hit it and how far she hit it. 100 partnership for this second wicket. Maqsood to Siva Brunt again. Is in the air and it's taken. That's the end of Nat Siva Brunt. She's provided fireworks, a lot of entertainment, some brilliant strokes, but she's got to depart. Abdul Maqsood with the wicket.
Well, you can tell just what a joy it is to watch her bat by the huge groan from the crowd of disappointment when she got out. The sense of, that particular bit of entertainment is done for the day. But what an innings from Nat Siva Brunt. She goes for 58 of 30 balls. It has been an absolute joy to watch every last ball of it. Was just trying to sweep it hard behind square, was trying to get it really, really fine, didn't quite do so into the hands of deep backward square leg. So she's gone for 58 of 30, 9 fours and a 6. And out comes Georgie Boyce, who already has a 50 in this competition this season. High score of 63 not out, and is the third highest run scorer in the Blaze lineup behind the two who we've seen just perform so brilliantly. So she in her own right is one not to be messed with.
Made the move from Thunder, was on loan with Lightning at the end of last season and cemented her place with the transfer to the Blaze. Maqsood figures 1 for 22 at the moment. Still got plenty of balls left of this over. Boyce will get off the mark with a single. But the huge wicket of Nat Siva Brunt taken after being hit for 6. The best way to respond is with a wicket, nonetheless.
I feel like I might just subconsciously have had some kind of responsibility for what just happened.
Oh, explain.
Because I'd just gone off on a sort of scurrying set of looking for all sorts of records.
Beaumont just flicks it away. The bowler's running after it herself and does the fielding.
It's just starting to think, you know, if these two ended up batting the full innings, the full beans, as one might call it, what might end up happening?
Boyce on strike. A bit of a wider delivery. It's going to go for 4 runs. Probably heard an ooh from the crowd as Jo Gardner almost got her hands on it. We'll see on the replay.
So, end of the 10th, 112 for 2. See, we've got a bit of entertainment in here. Fresh Prince of Trent Bridge playing on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which for a generation of us once upon a time was the go-to thing to watch on the telly of choice after The Simpsons had finished. Back onto the cricket. Maddie Villiers from the pavilion end. It's Jo Gardner. Beg your pardon.
So Jo Gardner's does seam and spin, so it can get a little bit confusing at times.
Well, 9 overs this season in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. 2 for 75 so far. Another run added to that total here. So the highest total in the Charlotte Edwards Cup this season is the 218 for 3 that the Diamonds got against the Storm at Leeds. So they are going to have to go some to get that. But if they keep this kind of pace, they'll be not a million miles away.
Yeah, I think Jo Gardner brought in this spin last season.
Short down leg. Boyce was keen to try and chase that and hit it, and understandably so. There's only 2 fielders in the ring there. Was just thinking, rather than the wide, I'll chase the boundary if I can get it. It's nicely struck into the gap. That will take a bit of a chase round. That's the 2, 116 for 2. Boyce on to 7 off 3.
It's from Nottinghamshire as well. Back to her local ground.
Flicked away. I mentioned there's nobody behind square on that leg side boundary. Knew exactly what she was trying to do. Up and over. Very clever from Boyce. She's into double figures. 120 for 2. Yeah, I know they were very happy to get her back. Just short, a little bit of turn, but it's slow turn off the back foot. Boyce can easily deal with it. Won't get one that time. Of course, had that long association for Lancs. 309 runs at 61 in T20s for Lancashire last season. Just nibbled away for 1. 172 in this competition and another 147 for good measure in Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy. Chris Guest saying she brings a wealth of experience back with her to add to our lineup. A leader in the dressing room as well, keen to improve and force her way into contention for further honours, of course, at international level. Steps down, clever footwork from Beaumont, but it's hit the sweeper. 1-2-2 for 2. She'll keep the strike at the end of the 11th. Beaumont 41 not out.
After just 29 deliveries.
Yeah, it sort of sounds disrespectful to say she's played second fiddle, because in any normal circumstances 41 on 29 is pretty good going.
It's becoming a regular theme though. It seems like Tammy Beaumont, she opens up but then gets starved of the strike a little bit and just sticks around and keeps that scoreboard ticking. But she hasn't had to be the player who goes at it straight away. She's been able to just get into a flow.
And then of course everyone can have the comfort of batting around her as well.
Exactly. Provide support for her teammates, but she'll look to take the charge here. Let's go back. Comes in for her 3rd over. 2 overs, 26 runs so far. But crucially 4 dot balls. Not as many as she perhaps would hope.
Yeah, it's not been an easy day to get them, mind you, of course.
It's definitely not. Beaumont facing. And they're going to appeal, and he's given it. He kept his finger down for a little while, but he's raised it up. And Kopak with the wicket of Tammy Beaumont, who has to depart.
Yeah, definitely took the time to give the decision. And that is the end of Beaumont for 41 off 30. A very well made innings. 5 4s and a 6 as well.
You should see it on the replay here. So it moves across. That's very fair.
I mean, it's always difficult to judge LBWs like that, and you would say that the ump has shown good experience there and just taking a bit of extra time, because it is awkward when a player's moved around so much in the crease in such an unorthodox way, and so often for Beaumont, of course, that works so beautifully. She's taken her tally in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy this season up to 187, having been dismissed 4 times. Now comes Mary Kelly.
It comes in lower down the order, so normally opens up alongside Tammy Beaumont, but recently struggled for a bit of form.
Yeah, has 69 runs at just under 14 with the bat in this competition this season.
A player who is explosive. It's go hard or go home with Marie Kelly. There's nothing in between. As Kelly faces, looks to get off the mark. Bit of dot ball. The elusive dot ball.
The elusive dot ball. Very elusive dot ball.
That's the thing with Blaze as well. They have got a good balance in terms of those England players and these younger players slash up and comings slash those who've been around the scene for a long time, just haven't had the opportunity to play as often. And again, Kopak puts her hands up and the umpire has given it. LBW. Marie Kelly, the latest to depart without scoring. Kopak 2 from this over.
Yeah, 122 for 4, and suddenly it is a little bit of a mini middle order collapse. That is 2 wickets in 3 balls, but also 3 in 15, starting when Siva Brunt got out and looks to be hitting the base of middle leg. Hard to argue too much for that. Out comes Sarah Glenn, who hasn't had a huge amount of chances to bat for the Blaze this season. He's got 31 of 32 balls faced across 3 innings, best of 17 not out. Just got to make sure they haven't lost the momentum here, the Sunrisers. It's that balance, acceleration is needed, but also don't want this to turn into a real collapse.
Absolutely, because it looks like it is going to be a high-scoring pitch out there. Looks like an absolute road.
Yeah, you could park the car on it and the ground staff would say, no worries, just make sure it's not when the game's on. Doesn't look like there's a lot of demons on it, is what I'm trying to say, in a wry way. Sarah Glenn facing up.
Just 23 years old for England international. And we'll get off the mark with a single hitting that fairly square. Yeah, she wants to be a genuine all-rounder, known for her leg break, but wants to be up the order for England duties and within the domestic game as well. Boyce back on strike, 11 off 6. Just plods it straight into the ground. It doesn't get past the inner circle. And again a single.
Plods it, I like that. Spent a fair bit of time in Jersey this week alongside the brilliant Georgie Heath, talking about sort of the way, particularly in cricket commentary more so than any other medium, you have all these words that can be just dropped in that people sort of know what they mean.
To Glenn. Swing and a miss. And that was a very, very decent over from Kate Kopak. 3 overs, 28 runs, 2 wickets, and the score 124 for 4. 12 overs down.
Yeah, you can see it flashing up on the big screen. Finals day, Grace Road in Worcestershire. You can also have a look at the batting card, dominated by Siva Brunt and Beaumont. And then those 3 quick wickets, leaving these 2 looking to rebuild in terms of the bowling figures. Stephen Kopak and others have been a touch expensive because they've been met by that full frontal assault from Siva Brunt and Beaumont. But yeah, even so, more so in TV, because of course people can already see what's happened, but just certain words, you know, the kitchen sink, the full beans, his Villiers. Dead ball. Just lost a run. Short and slightly slower, tumbling diving stop, a good stop by Liz McLeod. And just working her way into innings. It is interesting, Sarah Glenn, it's something you see with a lot of players. They might sort of break through with one skill set, but very much the modern era that then looking to consistently upskill across different things. Straight at cover point and a little sort of lean back of frustration from Glenn. Thought she'd picked the gap nicely.
Of course, Villiers was one of the trio of spinners. It was Glenn, Eccleston and Villiers, and then Dean broke through.
Steps down and Glenn will get 1 this time.
A cohort of the early 20-year-olds fighting for the spinner spots.
Yeah, my goodness me, what a competitive fight that is. Again, nicely timed, but timed straight to deep mid-wicket for 1. So, a bit of quick maths, if they go 8 and over from here, they're looking around 185. Cheeky quick single against Maqsood, and the backing up was aggressive. The backing up was good from Boyce. And she, of course, had the danger end to run to. Good tight over this. It could be the tightest over the innings so far. Dot ball. It will be the tightest over of the innings so far. It goes for just 4. It is an excellent over from Maddie Villiers. It's 128 for 4 off 13.
Yeah, much more tidier, as you're saying. That's for standard now, isn't it?
Yeah, the first over went for 6. We haven't had another over quite as quiet until the one that has just passed with the 4 singles from it.
It looks like it'll be Kelly Castle coming into Radcliffe Road end.
That is one of those names, isn't it, that says a lot about your accent, because it's the castle or castle.
Yeah, my accent. I just kind of.
I don't mean that I mean that in an observational way, not in a teasy way.
My working class. So.
No, not at all.
Yes, Castle comes in with that loopy bowling, and Glenn will get a single from it. Slight misfield.
Just reminds me of the way that there's some names that it's quite obvious that it is to be said thus, and others that are having had many a discussion this week with cricketers from France, Germany, Jersey, Italy about how do you say your name, how do you want it pronounced, just gets you thinking about all those intricacies.
Boyce facing. Doesn't quite get away, but Glenn calls for a quick single, and if that was direct, she would have been walking back, but they made reward from the risk.
I tell you what, even if it was just zinged into the keeper's gloves over the bells, that was out.
Absolutely. Risky, but they reaped a reward. Single taken. Glenn moves her feet, tries to get it away, but finds the fielder. Yeah, living up here, so I'm from Somerset originally, but I've been up here for almost 10 years now, so I've got a weird, like, Midlands, Somerset kind of...
No, I like it.
I
have the most generic, bland,
no,
dull southern accent.
Not at all. This Castle comes in. It's hit aerially, but it will bounce. Beats the fielder.
Oh, it spun, it was awkward.
They come back for 2.
It's the kind of one, we've all been there at any level of cricket, you end up just sat there sort of looking at the turf thinking, what happened there?
Again, a bit of a quieter over so far. 4 balls delivered, 4 runs scored. Score 132 for 4. Glenn on 6 off 8 and Boyce 15 off 11. It's Glenn who's facing. Hits it hard back to a long off area, but we'll just get 1 because Grace Scrivens is there to tidy it up.
Could be a second boundaryless over in a row here.
Boyce facing. And it's gone aerial, it's gone huge, but is it going to make it? Oh, it tries to split the fielders, but it just plugs into the ground. And they'll come back for a 2. It looked like she got enough for it, but just kind of held up in the air and just plummeted.
Yes. Oh, I mean, I kind of had the same thought first and foremost when it came off the bat issue, but actually kind of clothed it, really.
And score 135 for 4 at the end of the over. We're going to see the Blaze partnerships on the live stream now. Beaumont and Siva Brunt, the largest pairing of 102. A brilliant second wicket partnership from those England players.
Yeah, it's a graphic that almost tells its own story, really. An extraordinary stand of 102 of 54 deliveries, dominated by Nat Siva Brunt. Gardner coming back for 9 off her first. They are pulling this back here. This is a good few overs, a quiet few overs for the Sunrisers. It's exactly what they wanted. rescued a way out through cover point. It was 112 for 2 at halfway. Nicely swept. Swept fine. Could be the first boundary in 22 balls. It is the first boundary in 22 balls. Nice shot from Glenn. Knew that just had to get it past short fine leg. Bit of a hockey shot, no doubt. Of course, there's no shortage of history on that side of things. 139 for 4. It is the first boundary since the 3rd ball of the 11th over. So we've had to wait a little while.
Yeah, and fair play to Sunrise for putting that pressure back on. You know, so easily they could have seen the game escape them, but they've really come back into it.
This is going to be more runs. Well, like London buses, you wait for one, then 2 come at once. Back-to-back boundaries for Sarah Glenn. We're starting to find her feet. 15 off 12 for her.
Yeah, and she wants to put her hand up ahead of this huge summer for England women. Plenty of playing opportunities coming up.
Just going to get a quick single this time to Maqsood. Of course, for those who have been living under something of a rock or maybe aren't aware of all the intricate details of it, Women's Ashes approaching now. This is Gardner again, too short, she's got away with that. Up to deep square leg. Somewhat fortunate that's only gone for 1. Of course, Australia, the defending champions, winners 12-4 in the series 18 months or so ago, the 21-22 series. Shorter once more, and it just about loops over the head of Lizzie McLeod. Again, trying to get it up and over short fine leg, and did so successfully. It is a 3rd boundary to finish the over, which concedes 14. And all of a sudden, that has just kicked a bit of momentum back into this Blaze innings after 4 quiet overs or so. 149 is the score of 15.
Yeah, superb from Sarah Glenn. Needed that from a Blaze perspective just to release some of the pressure that Sunrise was starting to build up. Struggled to find a few boundaries, and all of a sudden, as you mentioned, it just kept coming.
Now 5 overs left. They'll be eyeing 200 from here, you'd imagine. They could be just the 3rd team to score 200 in this competition this season. Or I should say, to be precise, the 3rd occasion a team has, because the Blaze have already done it once. They did it against the Sparks at Leicester, and they made 212 for 5. Maqsood on for her 3rd, 1 for 28 off 2 so far.
Boyce waits and smashes it out to the cover region, and that will bring up the Blazers 150.
Very good time as well. 200 will be the next aiming post, the next North Star of this innings.
Boyce on 19 off 14. And I'm not sure if that was a little bit of a warning from Maqsood.
I thought
Boyce
she just
then,
lost her
or was
run.
she lost her run?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. Glenn facing, uses her feet, hits straight up in the air. There is a fielder there, but it finds the ground in between the 2 fielders.
It was Grace Scrivens and Dana Van Niekerk, and it couldn't have plugged more perfectly between them.
Gets away with that one. But in the scorebook, it will just say it was a run.
Yep.
It won't say the difficulties around it. As Boyce moves her feet, smashes it round. Fielder's chasing, there's 2 chasing after it. And it's stopped before it meets the boundary rope. Decent bit of fielding from the Sunrisers.
I do have a complaint from Georgie Heath that I use the term full beans without offering copyright and royalties and various other things in that regard, so just wishing to correct that before this goes any further.
And she's missed it and is stumped. Amara Carr takes the bells off, apt to her Maqsood. sends Georgie Boyce back to the pavilion.
Yeah, they needed that just to keep pegging the Blaze back. But they were 122 for 2 after 11. Just trying to take those wickets to ensure that the innings continues to slow down a touch rather than speed up. Good classic leg spin bowling, beating the outside edge. Sharp work behind the stumps as well.
Georgie Boyce, 21 added to the scoreboard. It'll be Nadine de Klerk coming in, the South African international. And bats a bit lower down the order for Blaze. Some people have commented on that, mentioning that she could bat higher up, but I believe they perceive her more as a bowling all-rounder and quite enjoy her in this position because she's someone who is reliable and can see the Blaze over the line, taking on that finisher kind of role. It's Maksud de Klerk pushes it for a quick single. So got 5 runs off the over so far, and then the wicket of Georgie Boyce.
De Klerk has 56 runs in this competition this season, having been out a couple of times.
Glenn 21 off 15. A dot ball. And that's the end of the over. The Blaze 154 for 5. Sarah Glenn on 21, and Nadine de Klerk is off the mark.
Yeah, no, they're rightly extremely excited to have de Klerk here. Already announced herself in the Rachel Hayhoffling Trophy with the competition's best figures in its history, with 7 for 33. We'll see her in action later on with the ball. Right now, trying to help her team as much to defend as possible. Reminder again of the permutations: the Blaze need to win with the bonus point to secure top spot, or it will be done for them if the Southern Vipers beat the Northern Diamonds. Sunrisers bottom. 2 games left in this newly expanded Charlotte Edwards Cup, where, as of this season, everybody plays everyone once. Castle starts the new over. Nice looking shot from de Klerk for 1. I know there's a consensus sort of right around the traps that that feels a lot fairer than the previous system, where you'd play some teams once but some teams not at all.
Yeah, it definitely seems the right way to go, and the volume of cricket this summer as well is expanded across both competitions.
A little outside edge, and it has managed to beat short third. Be a bit of a chase going back. And no, eventually is the call. Was some frantic possibilities of a third. 157 for 5.
Yeah, the right decision in the end. There's no point being too risky. 5 down. It is a bit of a different tale these last few overs.
Thinking of one there, definitely wasn't to Maksud. Short, sort of shortish point position. Rachel Hayhoffling Trophy has been expanded as well. 14 games for every team in that double round robin, done across 3 blocks. So 21 games between your T20 and 50 over competitions, 8 more than last summer. Short picked up nicely. Will be a big chase for deep extra cover coming round, who does really well diving to her left. Nice stop by Eva Gray. Good clean bit of fielding. Pretty comfortable too.
And hopefully with a rising professionalism you'll see some 2-day games hopefully start at that point, and then look to progress the red ball game.
Short whipped away through that vacant region. There is only short fine leg. It was an intelligent shot, a clever shot, and again one straight out of her hockey book from Sarah Glenn. Highly effective, and she looks the most likely to really carry this home now, emphatically for the Blaze.
So good as well to see her just opening up and moving across the stumps, because it's a shot where I haven't really seen her do that too much in terms of the movement before. Just getting way more confident.
unconventional shot. It was a caught and bowled chance. Don't think it was an easy one for Castle though. It's a good stop from her to end the over. 163 for 5. It was hit back at her pretty hard by Glenn. 3 left. So 10 over from here gets 193. Yeah, as of the end of April, 101 professional cricketers in England, and because of the expansion of new contracts being dished out for the first time this summer, we're repeatedly watching both the Charlotte Edwards Cup and Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy. When the England internationals are back, an entire 11 of fully professional cricketers, and that, not just this season but ongoing, is obviously going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, but we're seeing the benefits of professionalism at the moment. The scores just keep increasing because they are getting that contact time and they are getting to practice more and more without having to juggle different jobs, etc. And you can see it in the performances and the consistency of the players. As Kopak comes on from the Radcliffe Road end, it's a dot ball.
It's a great take as well. Not easy when you've got a batter sweeping in front of you, standing up to right arm fast medium bowler.
Yep, I'll be perfectly honest, I lost the ball then. I was trying to see where it actually went, but a good take from Markar. De Klerk tries to get her arms through that one, but it's a bit too wide. So it's interesting because Sunrise has started off giving away a few extras and they seem to get it a bit tighter again and restrain it, but it's starting to leak a few in the last couple of overs. That's straight from Kopak and it's hit neatly and it's going to just chase away for 4. Fielder doesn't quite get there. Relieves a little bit of pressure as well.
Yeah, trying to push towards 200, and you sense with the kind of danger that's in that Sunrise's batting lineup, Maddie Villiers, Danny Vanika, Grace Scrivens, etc. et al. They're going to need all of these. Might well do. Get really greedy here, the Blaze.
Mr. Clark hits it straight over the head of Sarah Glenn, who has to duck to get out of the way of it, and it will be another boundary. And that's what the Blaze need if they want to chase that 200 score in front of a home Trent Bridge crowd. That's exactly the type of work they need to do. Kopak's 4th over. Halfway through it, and de Klerk still facing. Uses her feet, but finds the fielder at deep mid-wicket, and the fielder prevents them coming back for a second run.
Yeah, it's good aggressive work from Eva Gray there. Attacking that ball really hard.
Calls for a big finish below us. Glenn on strike. A bit of a full toss there. Hits it to deep cover and just gets the 1 run.
Really interesting with Sarah Glenn as well. She did an interview with the Telegraph just about 6 weeks ago talking about I'm damned if I do wear makeup and I'm damned if I don't.
Yep.
And she's busy researching the scrutiny that female athletes face for her sports science degree. Some of the commentators on a lot of women's football, I remember seeing Alex Greenwood and Ella Toon talk about this too.
De Klerk powerfully strikes that out.
Oh, what a stop. Eva Gray, that is up there with some of the best fielding you will see all season. She's run 20 yards around to her right and very much still in motion, has had to flick it to just about keep it in, and it was great to see the Trent Bridge crowd, despite of course no doubt as to who they're supporting, fully acknowledging the brilliant piece of work they just watched. 176 for 5 off 18. It's also interesting, so Hen Cowan, known as H2 Fingers when he was on the Nobles cricket podcast, mentioned Glenn as well when talking with Alex Hartley and Kate Cross about the fact that, you know, you want space for everybody to be who they want to be and not face, you know, the kind of nonsense that people get for that. But yeah, that interview is well worth having a look at.
It links to my research, so that's what I've been looking at as elite female cricketers, social media uses, perceptions, what it actually means to be visible, the downsides, and obviously like the pros to it as well. But it's interesting because when I started my PhD and I was looking at a context of 20...
It's on the final over from the pavilion end. This will be hard run 2.
Because yeah, when I was looking at a context of the T20 World Cup in 2020, and at the time it was when Sarah Glenn was making more of her breakthrough, and she only had 7,000 followers, whereas on Instagram, and now she's got 100,000 followers. Wow. And that's only within, what, 3 years?
So that's carved away through the covers. A bit of an inside-out kind of a shot from Sarah Glenn, highly effective, and she looks in fine touch. She's scored more runs in this innings in her 3 previous ones in this competition put together, albeit on all 3 occasions she stepped out. There wasn't a lot of time left, but she's getting plenty of opportunity to show her best here.
Plenty of bat sponsorship time as well.
This time on the reverse. Won't get anything for that though.
She's brought out a cricket range with neon, the Sarah Glenn edition, or whatever they call it, but yeah, she's got her name to some equipment.
This will be more runs. It's like this field, I think they were getting 2 anyway, regardless of what Scrivens did. So that takes them up to 4 for 5. So they're almost up to the second highest total at the competition this season. That'll be 1 at least. In fact, it might be 4. We just about cut off in the end, around by Kopak. So Diamonds made 218 for 3 against the Storm. The Blaze made 212 for 5 against the Sparks, and then the third best was the Storms, 186 for 8 against the Diamonds. So they're going to get well past that. It's going to be an imposing, tough chase. Slightly missed time, not an easy chance, and dropped running back. At least flicked and kept in play by Joe Gardner. Really awkward trajectory, that one though. Kind of had to go 25 yards or so away to her left, was taking it or trying to take it whilst running, which is never easy. 188 for 5 off 19.
The main thing there though is she did prevent the boundary. She dropped it, and it's so easy just to be like, oh, I've dropped it, but she didn't. She straight on it, scooped it round and sent it back in. Looks like it will be Eva Gray to attack.
It's interesting with Glenn, we mentioned that dilemma earlier on. I know she was in the crowd at Lord's that day, 2017. Anya Shrub saw England win it against India. And that was one of the things that convinced her that cricket was the way to go.
Yeah, she's got a very cricket-loving family as well. So I'm sure that had a bit of persuasion too as Eva Gray comes into the attack. And again, it's hit aerially. There's a fielder underneath it. It should be taken. And it is. That's the end of Nadine de Klerk. Departs of 13 off 7. Eva Gray with a wicket on her first ball of this over. Kelly Castle underneath. Safe hands.
Yeah, final over. Got to go for it. Very honourable way for de Klerk to depart. My goodness me, she'll be a threat with the ball later on. This is looking like a pretty flat surface, but if anyone can get anything out of it. So, rejected. Nice bit late on though. 13 off 8 there is handy. Comes Sophie Munro. Played for the Trent Rockets in the 100 last year. Has previously been on a retainer with the Lightning, but again, going back to what we said with expansion of things moving in such a positive way, this is her full season as a first full season as a fully contracted player, where she can focus entirely on cricket.
Someone who can hit the ball hard as well, seen down at this middle lower order.
Yeah, Chris Guest, coach, said I first saw Sophie bowling in the Woodhead Hall as a 15-year-old, and she looked a special talent. She's a player of massive potential with bat and ball.
As Gray comes in. And it's gone aerial again. There is a fielder there, but it's one bounce. And it does the fielder. They're going to come back for 2. Fielder couldn't quite get her hands underneath. Munro will keep the strike.
Game within a game is 200 here. Can they get there?
Just 10 runs needed to hit that mark. 190 for 6 for Blaze. Glenn on 42 and Munro facing on 2. And again, puts her arms through it. It's aerial and there is a fielder there, but again, one bounce, it plugs into the ground. They look to come back for 2, but they won't get the opportunity. It does bring Glenn on strike though. She's currently on 42. For Blaze, 191 for 6. 42 off 28 isn't too bad going either.
Lovely knock from Sarah Glenn.
Eva Gray with the ball in hand. And it would just be a single. This is decent from Eva Gray. Started the over with a wicket. 2, 1, 1 and 2 balls remaining of legal deliveries, of course.
Yeah, not to be sniffed at this.
A really good death over.
One for being one of the tightest overs of the innings.
2 for 23, her figures from 2.4 overs. That is swiped down for a boundary. Good from Munro, 4 added.
A lovely shot this from Sophie Munro, and it means that if she can repeat it now, I'll bring up that magical 200. It's a game, of course, steeped in such history of putting so much on any number ending in 50 or 100, those nice round numbers. Can they get there? Here's the last.
And that's hit hard. It's aerial. There is a fielder out there. And they won't get the boundary, but they will come back for 2.
So there we go, an excellent batting effort by the Blaze, having won the toss and decided they're going to wield the willow. They've posted 198 for 6. It could have been even more. They were 112 for 2 at the halfway point, but even so, it is the 3rd highest total in the competition in the Charlotte Edwards Cup this season. It's going to be a mightily difficult chase for the Sunrisers, of course, are winless. No doubt who the star of that first innings was. That Siva Brunt really set things going after Sarah Bryce got a golden duck. Siva Brunt with 58 off 30, Tammy Beaumont at 41 off the same number of deliveries. They put on 102 for the 2nd wicket. Then a lovely cameo, more than a cameo really, from Sarah Glenn. 43 not out off 32 for her, featuring 5 fours as her batting continues to only keep improving. Georgie Boyce with 21 in the middle, and Nadine de Klerk with a quick 13 at the end. In terms of the bowling figures, 2 wickets apiece for Gray, Kopak and Maqsood. We'll see quite how good a total that proves to be, because the pitch does look very flat. We'll see you back for the run chase very shortly. Play set to resume in 15 minutes or so. Watching Blaze versus the Sunrisers with yours truly, Michael McCann, alongside Hannah Thompson-Radford. You can give us a tweet at @ThisIsMcCann, and we'll see ANN. Also give Hannah a tweet too. Hannah JTR. It would be lovely to hear from you where you're watching from. But for now, the first innings closed, 198 for 6. When we come back, it will be 199 to win. Welcome back to Trent Bridge for the run chase. 199 to win for the Sunrisers. What a chase it would be if they could pull it off. It is a flat pitch here at Trent Bridge. A fast outfield, no particularly short boundaries. But that imposing score on the board. It is the third highest score in the Charlotte Edwards Cup this season. Powered by a stand of 102 off 53 balls between Tammy Beaumont and Nat Sivert-Brunt for that second wicket, as well as a lovely finisher's knock from Sarah Glenn, 43 off 29 towards the end of things. And now Nat Sivert-Brunt to take the new ball from the Radcliffe Road end, where we're up high in the media centre. Behind her, watching her charge in to Maddie Villiers. Sivert-Brunt already so dynamic and impressive with the bat. Really did look $1 million and more. I'm trying to do it with the ball as well. The first ball of the reply. Played out straight to mid-on. Fielded by Kelly. Scampered through, or thought of trying to scamper through. Short, little slow ball. I think she was trying to change up there. Villiers was through it very, very early. Danny van Niekerk off the mark, just having a little chat with short mid wicket, leaning on her bat, looking very relaxed as she watches Sivert-Brunt come in to Villiers. Short back of a length, hit hard away through mid wicket. That will be the first boundary of the reply. Lovely shot there. Didn't try and hit the ball too hard, just picked the length up very early. It sounded very clean off the willow. 5 without loss. Great to have you with us wherever you are across the world. I'm Michael McCann, and delighted to once again alongside me have Hannah Thompson-Radford. That's a wide.
Yep, just slightly delayed. Had a little bit of childcare to do. My husband decided to bring the baby along, but realised he couldn't pop to the loo and have the baby, so dumped her on me and I was like, come on, where are you? So I just missed the first couple of balls trying to juggle the child, but...
Big beady eyes.
Yeah, she's not gone to sleep, which says a lot about the cricket, because she was meant to go to sleep about an hour ago.
This makes a lot of room there. Niekerk and misses out. Targeting that leg side boundary. We've got deep third and deep fine leg. Well, we did until mere seconds ago, because deep fine leg is now, having seen that shot, commuting around to deep square leg. That'll be scrambled quick single. Got a ring of 4 on the offside, and then that deep third, a ring of 4 that will now become a ring of 5. Interesting game within a game here. He's just counting the fielders. A slip's gone in. Attacking move. Back of a length, and just grazed away for 1. So end of the first in reply. 8 without loss.
Yeah, not a bad start from the Sunrisers. And it'll be interesting to see how Danny van Niekerk gets going today. She's not perhaps found the form that she wanted to for the Sunrisers yet, but plenty more opportunities to come.
Yeah, 51 runs at an average a touch under 13 and a strike rate of 110, which by her very high exceptional standards is below that. A player that needs barely any introduction. Of course, no longer a South African international. Talked very emotionally on the Nobles podcast about her journey and particularly the situation around that. And if you wish to find out more about it, well worth going and having a listen to. And it's fair to say she was pretty frank. Was not holding back about that, but the loss of South African cricket is potentially the rest of the world as she travels around in various competitions. Here's the first over from the pavilion end. Starts with wide. Grace Ballinger, who provides that left arm threat. Point of difference, as coach Chris Guest calls it. Once that she backs that up with the ability to swing the ball and execute her variations. Oh, what a bit of luck that is for Van Niekerk. Well, it is the moral victory to Ballinger. It is the scoreboard victory to the South African. 11 for none.
Yeah, that was very, very lucky. Sneaked under the edge. And Ballinger, as you mentioned, she's been superb with the ball this season so far. And as if a point of difference at a left armour.
Yeah, she hasn't picked up that many wickets, but she's kept it really tight.
There's moments where she's deserved them, but not quite got them.
Short and totally mistimed by Van Niekerk, who was on this extremely early. Well, I just talked about Chris Guest, the Blaze head coach, praising Ballinger's variations. That has completely caught Danny Van Niekerk out. Not literally, of course, but in terms of the ball itself, it almost lobbed up a very simple catch.
And just 21 years old is Grace Ballinger, and the regional setup is really elevating her profile.
Sliding this across Van Niekerk, who is circumspect. Yeah, so she's gone for 6.8 and over in the Charlotte Edwards Cup this season, and is by no means the most economical Blaze bowler, but that doesn't tell you the full story. Almost exclusively bowls in the power play or at the death, and when you factor in that on an analytics basis, it's actually a very impressive set of stats she's got.
Yeah, and so often creating opportunities like that and working in partnership with her other bowlers.
Niekerk opens her shoulders and just about gets it over mid-on. Just about, and it races away. The second boundary of the over, needing not far off 200. They've got to go for it in this power play, the Sunrisers. Danny Van Niekerk knows that and manages to get a chunk out of Ballinger.
Yeah, she's ridden her luck a couple of times, but that one was clean as anything.
Interesting to note. Injury again. Van Niekerk goes again. Gets absolutely none of it, and it's the kind of cricketer that doesn't leave you in too much doubt often as to what she's thinking and feeling on a field. Danny Van Niekerk, and certainly did it there. Looked up to the heavens, down and up and down again in disappointment and not being able to repeat the previous ball. End of the second, 15 without loss. We were talking about the sort of rise in totals, and Hypercourse is at it again. 4 of the 5 highest totals in the Charlotte Edwards Cup across its history have been made this season. 198 for 6, third highest. And the only one that was not this season was when the Thunder made 186 for 1 against the Sunrisers 2 years ago. Sarah Glenn is on in the power play. And there's no better feeling when you're an all-rounder, whether it be bat bowl, bat keep, than when you've executed so brilliantly in one of your skills and you get the chance to head into doing the other. And that is Glenn. 43 off 29 with the bat, now with the ball in hand.
Villiers won't get it away. I think, as you mentioned, she's hit a joint highest score ever. And now it's time to do the same with the ball. Can she get the best figures? It's scooped up in the air and it's taken! Sarah Glenn, instant impact, sees the back of Villiers for 5 off 6. Sunrisers 15 for 1.
Yeah, good early breakthrough Teasing, tempting spin from Glenn. Classic modern setup to have pace bowler at one end, but get spin into the game early in the power play too. And it pays dividends. It's the end of the oh so dangerous Maddie Villiers. Gone for just 5 off 7. That is a big early breakthrough to get. And it continues a disappointing run by her very high standards for Villiers in this competition. That's now 6 completed innings for her, across which she's only scored 54 runs. Out comes, is it McLeod? McLeod with best of 34 in the Charlotte Edwards Cup this season. Has the second highest strike rate of any Sunrisers batter. It's been going at 122 per 100 balls. And they really need her and Danny van Niekerk to be positive, easy for me to say, in the power play. Remember that the Blaze was 68 for 1 off 6.
Yeah, the required run rate as well has crept up to almost at 11, 10.42, target of 199 for victories. England international Sarah Glenn with her leg spin comes in for her 3rd delivery. That is hit straight back to the bowler. A very tidy over so far. Wicket maiden at present. 3 more deliveries to come. That's hit hard, straight at the fielder. The call for a run and they will get there safely. It did look a little bit scratchy to begin with, but made it.
Sarah Glenn's having a great Charlotte Edwards Cup. It's comfortably the Blazers' most economical bowler. 12 overs before this one. She'd gone at 5.4 and over. She'd even bowled a maiden. That is precious cargo in T20 cricket.
Yeah, unfortunately you won't get a maiden on this over because we had the single on the previous delivery, but that's another dot ball. It's just 1 for 1 from her over so far with 1 ball to come.
It's only actually a 4th wicket that she's taken across competition this season, that one she's just got.
And again another dot ball from Sarah Glenn. A brilliant over, just 1 from it. Sunrisers 16 for 1.
Yeah, they are a long way behind the 8 ball here. They really need to try, and easier said than done. The game always looks so simple from up here in the commentary box. But McLeod and van Niekerk have got to try and make the second half of this power play so much more productive than the first. This could slip away very quickly. Let's give you a quick score update from elsewhere. Of course, there is 2 games ongoing in the Charlotte Edwards Cup, 4 across the day. Later on it's the Thunder versus the Stars at Blackpool and the Diamonds versus the Vipers at Leeds. Ballinger continues, hit hard but straight at extra cover. Disappointing for McLeod, frustrating for McLeod.
You mentioned the Diamonds Vipers game. That's going to be one to watch from a Blaze perspective, isn't it?
Yeah. 3rd versus 2nd, although of course if they can win this comfortably enough with that 1.25 net run rate bonus, they'll secure top spot regardless of this afternoon's events. Worked away, big chase this for deep square leg coming around, pretty comfortable too.
Lucy Hyam
18 for 1.
covers a lot of ground on the boundary. Excellent fielder.
So in the one game that actually started just before us, it's looking like it's a bit of a thriller at Bristol. Sliced away, bit of luck. It may well run away for 4. Indeed it does. Well, they'll take anything they can get, particularly at the moment the Sunrisers. Fortune favours them there. 4 for McLeod off the outside edge, 22 for 1. So, to let you know what is going on with that other game, Central Sparks posted 135 for 6. Erin Burns top scoring, Australian with 66, almost half the total. It's a no ball. The keeper a little bit low. McLeod not able to make contact. Danny Gibson took 4 for 23 for the Storm, who in reply are 95 for 3 off 13. So that is a pretty tight finish. 41 to win off the last 7, with 7 wickets in hand in a low scoring game. Free hit here. What can McLeod make of it? That's another no ball, and it's smashed down the ground. So it's a double penalty here for the Blaze. The boundary and another no ball too. So Ballinger's maybe just got to have another look at a run up, because that is back-to-back front foot no balls.
I couldn't contain my gasp. But I was surprised to see another no ball. Another free hit. It's just 3 runs, isn't it?
Yep, not ideal. Don't want to give Sunrisers a route back here. The Blaze having had such a tight start. Ballinger's got to recompose herself. Free hit once more. Out to deep mid wicket for 1. 29 for 1. Ballinger, who graduated through the Warwickshire pathway before switching to Leicestershire in 2021 and made her regional debut for the Lightning. 2021 was the year you'd say she really burst through. Drops her bat on it, Van Niekerk.
I think she only made her county debut in 2018, was it?
Yeah.
Seniors?
I believe so, yeah.
It's relatively new in terms of that level of experience, because quite a lot of the players kind of made their debuts 10 years or so ago, playing as like 12, 13-year-olds in the county sides, didn't they? That's such a familiar tale, so. Still a youngster.
Well, blocked by Van Niekerk, who's circumspect once more. And that is the end of the 4th. 29 for 1. Pulled it back well there, Ballinger, after a slightly erratic start with those no balls. It was interesting, her coach Chris Guest very openly said she's looking to add a yard of pace and has been working on that in the off-season. Will be a real handful this season following a winter of hard work. I'm so excited to see her steaming in. Just watching her there, she really was getting it down at a pretty quick rate. And of course the other thing is, you watching at home on the stream, both us up here at the top of the Radcliffe Road end, we're not really in the best place to judge that, and often TV doesn't quite show how quickly somebody's bowling. It's too often you hear tales of people going to a ground, ending up with a seat side on in and around square leg or deep mid wicket or deep cover, and suddenly realising just how fast things are happening out there in the middle. Siva Brunt coming now from Radcliffe Road end, has changed ends.
McLeod on strike. Hits it backwards and it's going to find the boundary. 4 runs for a total, 16 off 9 balls. Sunrise is 33 for 1 in the power play.
Yeah, McLeod will be all too aware that regardless of the excellence of Nat Siva Brunt, he's got to just keep taking the aggressive option here. Required run rate hovering around 12.5.
Siva Brunt appeals and it's given. LBW McLeod has to depart. 16 off 9. LBW.
Yeah.
Sunrise is 33 for 2 now.
Nice stuff from Nat Siva Brunt. Just shuffled across her crease a bit there, McLeod. I think she was trying to work it into the vacant leg side space. Instead, he's trapped, and it looked pretty out in real time.
We'll have a look on the replay.
Maybe not quite as out as I initially first thought, but still probably hitting the top of middle and leg. Now here comes one of the talents that has everybody talking, and rightly so. Grace Scrivens. Such a big part of that England under-19 story, of course. As a best across all cricket this season of 67 at the Vipers in the Rachel Hayhoe Flynn Trophy. Hasn't quite shown her best in this competition, apart from that one innings where she hit exactly 50. She has 77 runs in 5 innings across the piece.
She's been cited as that next England captain one day, hasn't she? She's got a lot of pressure on her young shoulders.
It's a lot of chat for someone who is still a teenager, but it is chatter for good reason as well.
Left-hander will be facing. Edges it down, and in misfield they're going to make a single. Going to look to come back for 2, but Nico didn't fancy it. Sent Scrivens back, which I think was the right decision, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe Grace Scrivens 19 years and 203 days old.
Oh, well.
To be precise. Silverbrandt steams in. To Anikirk. You can't get it out the inner circle here.
I mean, this
dot ball.
This reminds me of the Women's World Cup qualifying tournament this week being out in Jersey. Fair few of Jersey players, sort of 15, 16, and one Erin Duffy, which at one point prompted some comparisons to Duffy, the pop singer, in that song Mercy, and then we realised the song only came out 7 months after she was born.
Oh wow!
Made everyone feel extremely old.
Nico kicks it aerially. It's over the top of the mid-on fielder, and 4 runs. A good whack that was.
Yeah, she's played a curious innings here, Van Niekerk. She has 13 off 13, but it has been very all or nothing. It seems like every ball has got either sort of the kitchen sink, the dining table and the chairs, or just a block.
Silverbrandt looks to respond. It's gone aerially, it's gone up in the air. There is a fielder there, and it's taken! Dane Van Niekerk has to depart on 13. Bold Silverbrandt, and caught. We'll just find out who it is. We think it's Sarah Glenn, and it is indeed.
13 off 14 for Van Niekerk with 3 fours. As I mentioned, a bit of a curate's egg of an innings. Seemed to be kind of block it or try and obliterate it out of existence.
Which is not a bad style for T20 cricket, to be fair.
No, not at all. In the end, well, she turned away. She knew as soon as she'd struck that, she'd be in trouble. Now comes Amara Carr. He's not had an easy Charlotte Edwards Cup tournament so far with the bat. He scored 32 runs at an average of 6.4 across the competition, and now has to come out with the required run rate up towards 11.
And unfortunately there's that stat as well, being 3 down in the power play, you're less likely to go on to win a match, etc.
Yeah.
That was the end of the over as well.
Certainly was.
38 for 3. Sunrisers, 5 overs down.
Now from the pavilion end, the Kirsty Gordon. Gordon, both an England international and a Scotland international across a distinguished career, and still at 25 with so long to add so many chapters to that story. Made her international debut at the age of just 14. Just loses a run there. Please remember chasing a big win here to secure top spot. Just clipped away for 1 by Scrivens, and now Carr can take guard.
And Kirsty Gordon's always been quite economical since the KSL days, which was when she had to give up her Scotland status for a bit, which I think she might be eligible again to play for Scotland, but I'm not 100% certain. But I think that time is coming up if it hasn't already.
She's been a very dependable performer for the Blaze. She's bowled all 4 of her overs in all 5 games so far. It's gone at 6.5 and over and is their second highest wicket taker with 6.
Yeah, she just seems to be consistent year on year since breaking through most KSL days and within the county scene as well in England.
This will be Carr getting off the mark. Gordon has an England Test cap as well, coming against Australia back in July 2019. 5 T20I caps for England and plenty more for Scotland as well. Driven back, well fielded off her own bowling by Gordon. And already that required run rate is almost 11.
Played in the 2018 World Cup alongside Lindsay Smith and Sophia Dunkley making World Cup debuts.
Met on the half volley. Big chase this for long on coming around. You can't quite cut it off despite a diving, desperate, tumbling stop attempted out there by Mary Kelly. It always looked likely to be 4. A much needed boundary for Grace Scrivens, her first.
Yeah, it's what the Sunrisers need, but they need more of that, don't they? Run rate required 10.81.
That'll be 1 for Scrivens. So 7 off 5 in this over. So again, to get to where they need to be, this last ball's got to go for a boundary, such as the testing target that they face. Quick run single. They will scamper through. Good scamperage. End of the 6th. 46 for 3. 8 coming off it.
Scamperage, that's a new word.
Scamperage, yeah.
Scamperage.
It's first said it a few years ago and it's just stuck.
I like it.
I kind of feel like it fits. As we have a look at the figures too, for 16 for Nat Siva-Brandt, you can't keep her out of the game for long. Glenn with that excellent over, so it's going to come back on from the Radcliffe Road, and now it looks like that's the card. Not the best from the power play so far. Of course, big expectations because the Blaze put on 68 for 1 in their power play, but they're 22 behind on that metric right now. Yeah, it's sort of into that cricketing lexicon of words that sort of, they're not an actual word, but you hear it and you know exactly what it means. Kind of.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I like it.
Nice.
Even if it's just one person who gets it. It all counts.
Sending the scouts out for Glenn. And that's gone away through the vacant 3rd region. I think I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Carr that she meant this. She knew that there was no one behind square on the offside. Might have been a touch of the outside edge in it. Was also trying to guide it away with soft hands. It's a nice controlled, clever shot. The 50 up for the Sunrisers. 50 for 3 after the first ball of the 7th.
Yeah, I'd absolutely say I think she did purposefully guide it down, to be fair. Credit where credit's due. As Carr remains on striking, Glenn with her leg spin comes in. A dot ball on this occasion.
It's the classic kind of shot that at the very low level of club cricket I play, but it's consistently seen when someone actually does that successfully. The fielders really sort of try and get in your head that it was still an edge.
Oh, absolutely. Another dot ball from Sarah Glenn. She's bowled 7 dot balls so far and hasn't even completed her 2nd over yet.
Yeah, she's got it on a bit of a string here.
Very economical. She comes in again for another dot.
And the thing is, it would be all well and good for us as commentators to sit in and say, well, they need 11 and over. They've got to play a big shot, but it's not easy to do that to that delivery and these kind of deliveries.
Carr uses her feet. A direct hit will see her go, but she makes it. If that was direct,
It was Nadine de Klerk at the Coconut Shy, the circus, except not trying to win the prize of one of those sort of massively oversized teddy bears that are actually quite inconvenient to take home. Prize of the scalp of Carr, but they have to take on singles like that. There has to be, you know, level of aggressively calculated risk. which I realise sounds like something of a contradiction.
Left hand on straight. And I wondered what was going on there because there was a bit of a pause and I couldn't quite see the angle. It was a dot ball. Excellent over from Sarah Glenn. 2 overs, 6 runs, 1 wicket, and 9 dot balls. Sunrisers 51 for 3.
Yeah, so already that required run rate is up just short of 11.4. That is very, very imposing. So they've got to win with 1.25 times the run rate of the Sunrisers to Blaze if they're to secure top spot. So I make it that they would need to keep the Sunrisers to just under 150 in that kind of region to complete things here and now.
I'm going to trust you because my maths isn't there.
Well, I was going off the fact it shouldn't be the hardest calculation because they got almost 200, and of course a quarter of 200 is 50.
Every day's a school day.
Fancy footwork from Carr, nibbled away for 1, 52 for 3. So if they've got 198, that's going to put you in sort of a high 140s kind of region. They'll hope if they can keep things really tight here, the Blaze, they can do that. That would then give them the liberty of knowing that they've already secured the top spot before their final game of the regular group stage side of things. They play the Western Storm in 3 days' time. That's going to be 1 for Scrivens. On the same day, on the 7th, Wednesday, the Sunrisers are away at the Southern Vipers, who will be jostling for position and have every chance of making it to Worcester next weekend. Came into this weekend with a game in hand on 2 sides above and below them in the table. Steps across and manages to somehow flick that over the keeper's head. Another single. Good tight stuff here from Hyam.
Just having a quick look as well, you mentioned Western Storm, and similar to the Sunrise, have been struggling for form this season, and it looks like they could be on their way to beating Central Sparks.
Steps down and hits this straight at mid-off, no run. Yeah, the last thing we mentioned to you was needing 42 off 7. It's now 8 to win off 13 balls with 7 wickets in hand, so they would have the advantage in that one at this stage. You'd rather be them, no doubt. It's no doubt who you'd rather be here. Lovely dot from Hyam. Really good partnership there between Sophie Luff and Orla Prendergast. Has put Western Storm in control. More fancy footwork, but again straight at mid-off. It's a really nice shot for none by Scrivens, but great pressure from Hyam. 3 dots to end the 8th. 54 for 3. And that pressure is building and building on the Sunrisers.
Yeah, very tough ask so far, but let's see what this pair come up with. Have they got any answers? But as we mentioned, 3 down in the power play. The stats are a bit against them. But interestingly as well, I think if Western Storm beat Central Sparks, that's them completely out of it now, isn't it?
That is correct.
As Glenn continues to bowl here. Glenn, of course, moved across from Central Sparks to the Blaze, which is actually her home region from the Derbyshire area, which is within this East Midlands regional setup. Glenn to Scrivens. Gets it away for a quick single. It will just be 1. Dean de Klerk doing the tidying up.
Yeah, so coming into today, there was an extremely sort of outside chance the Sparks could still make it, but that defeat would do exactly that.
She's hit it straight up in the air. There's a fielder there, and it's taken. Sarah Glenn with another wicket. Caught by Kirsty Gordon.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy catch either. So the end of Marikar for 10 off 11. 56 for 4 midway through the 9th. And when you've got a required run rate that is really starting to skyrocket, so often the story ends this way. But that really was not a simple one. We had a great view of it, Kirsty Gordon running back in the direction of our commentary, because it's never easy when it's coming over your shoulder like that. So Carr has to depart.
Sarah Glenn in on the action, already scored her joint highest score earlier today, 43 from 29 balls not out, and now with the ball starring, picking up her second scalp of the day, and interestingly as well, 10 dot balls.
Yeah, it's only so long in a situation like this things can continue without an ending like that we've just seen. It's Flo Miller, the teenage batter, still working her way into life for the Sunrisers. Hasn't had the easiest campaign, 27 runs at just 6.8, and has got to face Sarah Glenn. Can't score off her first.
Who seems to be in brilliant form this summer. It makes such a difference having the likes of Glenn here at the Blaze, alongside Tammy Beaumont and Nat Silverbrunner as being an internationals. That's a bit of flight. Hit straight back to the bowler, who fields, keeps it to no run. More dot balls to her collection, gives her 12 dot balls so far. Her final ball of the over will go for a single. Sunrisers 56 for 4. Scrivens on 9 from 11, and Miller 1 from 3 deliveries.
Yeah, and what a spell this has been from Glenn. I say spell, of course, has been split up, but 2 for 9 off 3. Just cannot get her away at all. And just for comparison, Blaze were 112 for 2 off 10. Now obviously they did slow down marginally in that last 10, but even so, this is going to take quite something. Lucy Hyam to continue, her first win for just 3. Nicely bowled from Hyam.
Picked up her first fifer in List A cricket just a few weeks ago.
Pushes that one through. Want to push for 2 here, but they won't get it. 58 for 4. Yeah, so make it Sparks' defeat means they're basically out of it now. I think it's pretty fair to say at this point that the Blaze are going to take top spot.
A stark contrast to their Lightning days.
Straight to short fine leg.
Of course, back in the KSL, Lightning did feature in some of the KSL finals, but within the regional competition, Lightning failed to make any of the final days.
That's another single, but singles aren't really enough here. Yeah, this is the 3rd season of the Charlotte Edwards Cup. The South East Stars winners in 2021, pipping the Northern Diamonds, and then the Southern Vipers last year beating the Central Sparks. Rachel Hayhoe trophy holders of the Diamonds, after the Vipers had won it 2 years before that. Swapped away for 1. And again, the long run here without a boundary goes on. You really do sense that something's got to give.
You certainly do, and it's nice to see the crowd filling up again.
Goes on the reverse. That's a clever shot. There's nobody behind square on the offside at all. It's a big chase and a definitely unsuccessful one. Lovely shot from Grace Scrivens, and it's shots like this that are why she is so rightly highly rated. She moves on to 14, end of the 10th. Sunrisers 64 for 4 off 10.
Yeah, that's her only issue though. It's the right one player excelling, but she needs the partnerships to build around her, and a lot of pressure on Flo Miller at the other end here. The mammoth ask run rate is 13.5. Kirsty Gordon, captain of the Blaze, coming into the attack at the Radcliffe Road end. Former Scottish international, then represented England for a while. Left armour. Single taken.
So that boundary was the first boundary in 23 balls.
Wow.
Which again in a T20 game is a long time. That is pretty much a fifth of the innings.
Certainly is. I was doing the maths of that one. I got that one in my head quick enough that time. To Scrivens, who again tries to switch hit, but misses on this occasion. A good take from Sarah Bryce. And dot balls are not what the Sunrisers want or need. They definitely need to get a move on. 6 wickets in hand. Scrivens flicks it off her leg. They're going to look to come back for 2. Just get the 1. Very tight here from the Blaze.
Yeah, and we're well past the 2 a ball point now. Not far off, a million miles off 2.5 a ball.
It's Gordon to Miller. Puts her arms for it and hits it down to that long on region. But again, just a single.
Yeah, single's nowhere near enough here. Great credit to the Blaze. They've been ruthless with back ball and in the field too.
Looks for a switch hit. Kirsty Gordon's a feeling. Batters are running it. A direct hit would see her go. Sarah Bryce has a shy at the bowler's ends, but misses. If she had hit, I think that would have been the end for Scrivens.
We are nowhere near quite in line here, but just wonder whether she got her pad outside the line of off stump in terms of the impact there. That was what saved her.
Miller on strike. Doesn't quite get her hands through that one, but gets away with a single. End of Kirsty Gordon's over. 2 overs for 13 has the captain. Grace Scrivens on 16 off 17, Flo Miller 6 off 9, and Sunrisers are 69 for 4 at the end of the 11th.
Yeah, so we're now into almost miracle territory, you'd have to say. I mean, from here, it is going to take something quite extraordinary for the Sunrisers not to win this. The game within a game is for the Blaze not to win this. If the Sunrisers can get to 150, that would deny the Blaze securing top spot. Even that feels like quite a way off though. Indeed, de Klerk on. De Klerk, a player that needs relatively little introduction to those follow women's cricket fairly regularly. Already has the best Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy figures ever. Took 7 for 33 off 9.1, including 3 maidens against the Diamonds. 23-year-old South African international. Contributed some nasty blows at the back end of the first innings. Now with ball in hand. So, nice start. Just worked away for 1 by Miller, who has 7. 70 for 4.
Yeah, she was the top wicket taker of Charlotte Edwards Cup coming into today's fixture, but with other games going on that might have changed, I'm not too sure, but she had 11 to her name.
Yeah, she's having a great tournament. Economy of just over a run a ball, and those 11 wickets coming at an average of 10. Getting back of a length, it straight short fine leg. Ballinger does the fielding. Great to see the crowd continuing to swell. Clearly plenty have been attracted by the double-header proposition to come down nice and early and catch plenty of this game as well. Something that was so successful with 100 last season. Short mistimed and would have been an incredible catch at mid-wicket coming around. Instead it's still a very good half stop.
Was that Georgie Boyce?
Flying dive to her right.
think it might be Georgie Boyce out there trying to get me prescriptions on and have a look. But it would have been absolutely spectacular if she took that.
Slightly took the pace off that one to Clerk, and Scriven's a little bit deceived on it by it ends up sort of toe-ending it away.
Can confirm as well it was Georgie Boyce, so prescriptions are doing me well.
Good to hear. Again making room, Scrivens, but again only finding the fielder. Really good tight stuff this from the Clerk. Not the worst bowler to be able to hold back and then bring on in the 12th over, Nadine de Klerk.
Yeah, people have been calling her in the batting lineup as well to be batting higher up, and likewise with the bowling it seems today. But what a talent.
Yeah, they're kind of sport for choice plays, and what a season they're having. I mean, if they win this, they will have won all 9 of the completed games they've played in. LBW appeals. Instead it will be a leg by. Throw well backed up. 73 for 4, end of a very tidy over from de Klerk. She's conceded just 3. The squeeze very much continues. 73 for 4 off 12.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the unbeaten run by the Blaze, but their recruitment this winter has been phenomenal. And to get the likes of Nadine de Klerk, who's phenomenal, has made impact with her signing, because it's difficult for the overseas, so they've got that added pressure, haven't they? And to actually contribute and make a difference to her squad, Nadine de Klerk is doing exactly that. And she's so young herself as well, isn't she?
Yeah, it's 2 teams that couldn't be having contrasting times more at the moment. I mean, Blaze had those games against the Western Storm and the Thunder, abandoning the Rachel Everything Trophy.
Gordon continues her spell. Sunrise is looking to come back for 2. We're going to push it.
Oh, no.
Mix up. And, Kirsty Gordon drops the ball. It should have been an easy run out. She fumbled it. It's not going to make too much difference to the outcome of the game, but by her standards, she will not be happy with that. Scrivens facing. Looks to switch hit. Kirsty Gordon appeals. The Blaze looked very interested, but the umpire said nothing.
Yeah, another decent shout. Pressure only continues.
Leg by added to the tally. Sunrise is 76 for 4. Gordon's a fiery character. The Blaze brand is well suited to her. As she comes in, left arm over. Another dot ball delivery. Halfway through her 3rd over here at Trent Bridge. Flo Miller facing. And she finds the boundary on this occasion. In between mid-wicket. But unfortunately it's not going to be enough at this stage. Sunrise is 80 for 4. 2 more balls to come from Kirsty Gordon's 3rd over.
Yeah, Miller's into double figures.
And I guess for the Blaze, as you mentioned, they're looking to keep them under that 150 mark for the bonus points. Misfield allows Sunrisers to get a quick single. It's not like Tammy Beaumont to Misfield, but the ball was hit hard at her. Gordon to Scrivens. And she's looking for a run out, and it's given! The ball was hit hard back to Gordon, who got a finger to direct the ball onto the stumps. And that sees Miller ran out. Has to depart 12 off 13.
Yeah, they've got to take risks at this stage. Another one has to go.
Excellent fielding from the bowler.
I think you can safely say at this stage that they are romping towards that top spot, the Blaze. Much doubt about it.
And a bit of luck is going their way. Things like that, just getting a fingertip on.
It's that classic top. It's so many, all the commentary cliches, but it is the old top versus bottom. When you're top, the luck, you know, it is true. Definitely true. It's a real aspect of that.
Joe Gardner coming in. And that wicket also brought the end of the over. Sunrisers 81 for 6, aren't they?
81 for 5.
81 for 5.
No,
I
trust the Mahoosive scoreboard in front of us.
Yeah, just double checking the scorecards because it still said that Flo Miller was still in, so I told you my mind's not mathematical.
Mr. Clark charging in. Nice ball outside that off stump. 81 for 5.
Yep, it's all been updated in front of us now, so no more confusion.
Gardner facing up. Scrivens watching on with another new partner out there. Appeals and gone. Looked a pretty good shout, even though we're not quite in line. And Nadine de Klerk, the top wicket taker in the Charlotte Edwards Cup coming into today, strikes yet again. It is her 12th in the tournament already across 6 games. The lethal South African doing her thing. 81 for 6, a 2-ball duck for Gardner.
Not what she wanted at all, and the experience of Gardner as well, someone who is used to getting runs for the Sunrisers and getting them out of some difficult situations, but can't argue with that as we see on the replay. Eva Gray made the move from South East Stars to the Sunrisers.
Gray, who so far in this tournament has 46 runs at 15, has the highest strike rate of any Sunrisers batter, 135 per 100 balls. And with tickets still left for finals day next Saturday at New Road, Worcestershire. 3rd versus 2nd in the Eliminator. While first will be watching and waiting on scouting duties, and then meeting the winner in the final. All on the Saturday. There is a reserve day of the Sunday, the 11th, if the weather decides to not be as utterly delightful as it has been so far today.
Just checking as well, so Sparks are technically not out yet as things currently stand. Storm have boosted their chance, but not by much according to Cricket Her as well. Just having a quick look on Twitter. We've got the cross finger emoji.
Nurdled away. Yeah, I make it that Sparks are not quite done, but they would need a lot of
miracles.
Yeah, they're needing 2. I make it 2 big wins, and then if the Vipers win another game, then that's that. Just 1 win from 5 for the Sparks. 4 defeats. Skied up. This will be another wicket. Comfortable catch. A simple catch, as easy as you like. 82 for 7. And Grace Scrivens, who's been losing so many partners at the other end, now finally has to go herself. Trying the big shot, forcing it off de Klerk. Is out for 20 off 26.
Yeah, de Klerk back in the mix. 2nd wicket has been exceptional this season for the Blaze. A brilliant signing. South African, Court Monroe. The fielding from the Blaze as well has been superb. They say catches win matches, but it really does matter, doesn't it, to be using a cliche, but holding on to every chance. The standards have been set by the Blaze. They're unbeaten this season so far, and that's why.
Yeah, the only thing that's stopped them is the old rain.
It is.
Which abandoned against the Thunder in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint, and then that game against the Storm that was set up to be a real tight one after they posted 209 for 9, and the Storm were 23 without loss off 5 in reply. And that was another no result. But when they've been on the pitch and it's been seen through, 8 wins, 5 in this competition, And we're about to make that 9 and 6. Skipper Castle out there trying to delay the inevitable. Easy for me to say. delay. Reach for any word beginning with D.
Sounded like you're saying Dane then.
Yes. Finding any word beginning with D except for the one I was looking for. But yeah, just trying to slow things up. Nice looking shot for 1 there. 1 over this is from de Klerk. 2 wickets in it. She's now got 13 in the competition. Slow ball cutter hit straight at short fine leg by Eva Gray. End of the 14th, 83 for 7. Bamba is on here at Trent Bridge, and it is very much party time if you're a Blaze fan, because it seems pretty certain that you're getting the bonus point when you need to finish top. I mean that the game in 3 days' time is maybe a chance to rest and rotate, maybe give some of the youngsters a really good opportunity. You know, you think of the likes of Teresa Graves, Beth Harmer, Ella Claridge, Cassidy McCarthy, and roll on to finals day.
Because what do? Do you rest players, or do you just continue playing with the same team to continue that momentum? It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because it's easy to say, oh, we're resting, whatever,
Absolutely,
but that may hold there.
It's a great dilemma, of course, for head coach Chris Guest to have. Guest who is particularly knowledgeable about all things England women's cricket at a younger level, having recently worked as head coach of England under-19s and that under-19 Women's World Cup. Spells as Lightning head coach, a senior regional talent manager for the Loughborough based side as well before that. He's previously been in the ECB, set up as a talent manager. Once upon a time was charging in himself for Worcestershire's under-21s and second 11 and Berkshire in the minor counties setup. Here's Ballinger.
Yep, the left arm seamer. Finding a bit of pace, as you mentioned earlier. She's been trying to add an extra yard on.
Yeah, she's changed ends. Keeps getting better and better every season at the moment, Ballinger.
Because I said she made her debut in 2018 on the county side of things, and that to me feels like a couple of years ago, but obviously we had a pandemic in between that's made it feel shorter than it is. It has been quite a while, I guess. As Castle hits it off her legs for a single. Because I still feel like 2018 is only, you know, it's a few years ago, but actually it's been a good 5 years. But
got her maiden 5 for against the North West Thunder in the 50 over format last season. Played a couple of games in the 100 as well for London Spirit, based at Lords. It's one of those things, particularly in women's cricket, because there's been so many different iterations of different teams. My goodness me, if you've been around on the circuit for a few years, you can build up a heck of a shirt collection very, very quickly.
absolutely, as Ballinger steams in with her unique run-up. And Gray can't find a gap on this occasion, a dot ball. But yeah, that's the thing with players are so used to playing with and against one another. It's still a relatively small pool, but it's certainly a widening talent pool. But as you mentioned, from KSL to county, regional competitions, 100, a lot of opportunities for players to have played with and against, and it's scooped up in the end. It's going to find the fielder's hands, and it's taken. An excellent bit of bowling and fielding in partnership that sees Eva Gray have to depart on just one. You could see what she was trying to do. She was trying to scoop it over the top, but finds the fielder's hands.
Yeah, another one bites the dust, and fear that the Sunrisers might not even bat their 20 overs here.
Georgie Boyce with the catch.
Just been talking about fielding again. And obviously the result by this point is gone, but it's all about keeping those standards high. 84 for 8, Gray gone for 1 off 4. It's a little bit of the vibes as Kate Koppak comes out of, sort of like when a football team is 3-0, 4-0 up with 10-15 minutes left, and there's a head coach on the sidelines desperately wanting standards not to drop, but Blaze couldn't even be remotely accused of such a thing. Still got that 100% record in this competition. Koppak, who bowled well earlier on, is going to come out for a rare batch. He's only faced 4 balls in this competition this season, scoring 5.
Ballinger to go back. Swipes it and she may get off the mark with a boundary, but the field is there. Lucy Hyam, boundary rider, tidying up. Keeps them to 1. An excellent fielder out there is Lucy Hyam. Often a safe pair of hands. Just one more delivery from Ballinger's third over. And it will just be another single taken. Ballinger ends her 3 overs, 24 runs, 1 wicket and 10 dot balls. Sunrisers are 86 for 8 at this latter phase, 15 overs down, 113 runs required off 30 balls.
Yeah, I think that's a pair of figures that are somewhat immaterial. 2 wickets each for Glenn and Siva Brun, as well as de Klerk. It's been a pretty ruthless all-round bowling performance from the Blaze. In terms of the batting card, a lot of players have got starts, but not really gone on, to be honest.
They could be at the end of an over 100 run thumping. Sunrisers still searching for a victory in a wave of poor form. Which is a huge shame really, because they've had a change of coaching staff, they've had some new faces join the squad, but they're still struggling to get some wins on the board.
That's going to be 1 more. And you sent to this stage somewhat dotting the I's and crossing the T's as to the margin of victory at this point. Again, this will be another single. .88 for 8, all the 8s. Notts versus Lancs coming up here, starting in an hour and a half. I know there's been a lot of discussions about it's really important with these double headers, making sure you get the timings of the 2 games right. 4 hours gap sounds about right to me. So that's going to again be a single. Kopak and Castle just working and getting what they can. It's been sometimes where it's been even bigger, and then it can just get a bit too long. You're asking people to stay at a cricket ground for a very, very long time and wait a very, very long time without much going on in between. Whereas 4 hours feels about sort of the Goldilocks kind of point, you know? The balance is right in the middle. Oh, lovely slow ball, and I think it's fair to say that Kopak didn't quite pick that.
Yeah, absolutely. If only Sarah Bryce was stood up to the stumps, she would have had to depart, but obviously she stood back for the pace of Munro. You
know, you think this game, if it goes the full distance, is going to finish in about 20 minutes, then you're about an hour from the next game starting. You know, as a spectator, that's quite an ideal sort of...
And it's lunchtime as well, so
yeah.
Get your lunch, have a bit of time to chill before having to find your seat again.
Net on the half volley, nice looking shot. Won't be a much needed boundary, it's been a long time since the last one of those. Will be 2 though. End of the over, 5 off it. Tidy first one from Munro. Goes for 5. Munro has already picked up 3 wickets in this competition this season. 4 overs left. And you think of that, you know, that time, it's one of those where if you've come in and you've watched all of or part of this game. By the time you've gone away, had a little bite to eat, you know, there's all sorts of food stalls and little bits of things for the fans going on and right around the ground. By the time you've indulged in some of that, got back to your seat, the next game's starting in 20 minutes, half an hour, and the warm-ups are on and you're into that spectacle.
Absolutely. It's ideal on a day like today. The sun is glorious here at Trent Bridge.
Oh, I can't wait. I know you've got the very serious matter of childcare to tend to, but someone not with that. As Ballinger continues.
Castle on strike. Flicks it to the leg side for a single.
Yeah, the moment I got given the opportunity to be here today, very grateful to be alongside Hannah and chatting to you all at home, and I realised it's a double header. I thought, jolly good. The moment this is finished, you can go and watch Notts versus Lancs in the sun. It's part 2.
It's Ballinger to Kopak. It's stopped in the field by Marie Kelly. And as the Sunrise has come back for 2. So you're talking about accents as well. I realised that 1 minute I say Kopak and the next minute I say Kopak, which sounds a bit posher.
And
not being consistent on that name.
And the other thing is, having so many more of these double headers is getting more and more players used to these big crowds and big grounds.
Yeah. Ballinger comes in. It's hit in the air and it's dropped. Dropped by Tammy Beaumont. She had a misfield earlier on, which was uncharacteristic, in a drop catch here. It's not going to make too much difference to the outcome of the match, but by her standards, you'd have thought she would have held on to that. So Ballinger looks for the 9th wicket of the Sunrisers. They'll get a single, nice and easy, but it's not going to help too much. 95 for 8. Castle on 6 off 8, and Kopak 7 off 7.
Just to confirm, the Western Storm did win by 7 wickets with 4 balls to spare against the Sparks.
Ballinger bounds in. And the batter's called for a run. Will it be a run out? She gets back safely.
Just about scrambles her way back there.
She does indeed. That could have been a terrible mix-up.
If you were to be really facetious, you would say it was a terrible mix-up. They just about got away with it. I mean, she basically ran a 2 there.
As Ballinger comes in once again, uses the pitch. And again, Castle can't get it beyond 30-yard-ish ring. Just a little bit past that. Which brings the score 96 to 8. Sunrisers in huge difficulty. Castle on 7, Kopak on 7 as well. Partnership worth 12, and the run rate required is 34.33, so mathematically almost impossible here at Trent Bridge. It's been excellent from the Blaze.
Little game for all of you at home to play. Little pin the tail on the donkey statistically. How many balls since the last boundary, if you had to guess? Fancy having a stab?
27.
On the nose!
Oh.
On the nose!
Oh, someone would say I know my stuff sometimes.
All the time.
Actually?
All the time. Absolutely is, yeah. Miller
Nice.
off the 12.4. That was the last one. It really has been very quiet. Last year overs have gone for 2, 3 and a wicket, 5, 5. And that's no criticism on Castle and Kopak. Really, you know, you're looking towards the top order and they're just trying to see out the overs, score off what they can.
Do I get a prize?
Unfortunately not. Brownie points, imaginary brownie points. Monroe gets 1.
And this is the thing, the boundary is a decent size to be able to get 2s.
Yeah.
As well.
And this was kind of what we alluded to earlier, you know, on the whole, and it is interesting speaking to players off the record, like they say this is what they prefer. It feels like a more complete game of cricket. .97 for 8. Of course, the 100 provided you know, from a women's game point of view, it's big crowds, double headers. But what the Charlotte Edwards Cup is doing by days like this is a bigger, wider player pool is getting exposed to that, rather than just the players that were fortunate enough to get into those 100 teams.
Yeah, and players have cited that before in terms of the KSL. That was like a 6-week competition before, and top of that county level, because at the county days you've had county and you had England, and there was nothing really in between. And we're only talking, what, like 5 years ago, if that. And then the KSL was introduced, and the players would say, "Oh, it's amazing, you know, we're getting the TV experience." But not every game was even on TV at that point, and they definitely weren't all live streamed.
Yeah.
And then from that, we've now got the regional competition where it is all live streamed, and
I guess that's also where COVID's changed it.
Yeah, definitely. It's been interesting to see this growth, and over 1 million people tuned into the live streams this season so far, according to Hypercourse.
So that's a baseball-style shot, flat batted down the ground. Didn't quite catch it cleanly. Will be another 2. Will be the 100 up belatedly for the Sunrisers. 101 for 8 off 17.4. You know, Hypercourse was saying it's already, there was a sort of breakdown of how that's already up. I think they said by around 25%, that kind of region. Might have even been 30% off the top of my head.
Not even halfway through the season officially.
Short down leg, that'll be wided. Have to re-bowl that one to Clerk. I'm sure, like any good fast bowler, Munro, beg your pardon, I'm sure we're having a couple of wickets here. Munro hasn't bowled very often in this competition this season. This is her 7th over. Charlotte Edwards Cup has picked up 3 wickets. Straight to extra cover. And it's a dot. Just nibbled away for 1. Everybody's back on that onside. It's almost as if Munro, end of the over 103 for 8, was using that over as a bit of kind of deaf bowling practice and plans and execution. All 4 back on the onside, and then everybody up on the offside. 2 overs left, and as much as anything else, Sunrise is just looking for the pride of not getting bowled out.
Absolutely. And it's good to see as well here. We've got lots of orange going on in the crowd today. Some Blaze hats, t-shirts, etc. I think the merchandise is slowly coming in. And it's also nice to see as well the Notts Outlaws mascot was wearing a Blaze top as well. I've seen some talk on Twitter about should we get mascots in the women's domestic teams, etc. as well.
We need comedy mascots, and just like they have with the men's T20 finals, all of that, you know, the obstacles, the assault course, that's all part of the razzmatazz of T20, the fun of the thing. The kids absolutely love it.
De Klerk comes into attack at the Radcliffe Road end. Go back. Should come back for 2. And the Sunrisers do indeed. But yeah, no, that whole T25. But my point is, I think we want a full squad of professionals before we get too carried away with mascots, etc.
I thought you were going to say something else there.
Oh, what do you?
I thought you were going to say we want a full squad of mascots. I was thinking, where is she going with this?
Yeah,
no, you're absolutely right. Of course you are. Yeah.
Yeah, as much as getting mascot races, etc. But I think getting a proper marketing setup behind the teams as well. It's De Klerk to go back. Glides it down.
No run, straight at short third, fielded by Ballinger.
There was a moment of celebration then, which I thought, well, wait, was it a catch or not? But I was pretty sure it was along the floor.
But going back to your point, it's not an either or. You know, you can.
Yes.
We can do both. Like all too often in women's sport, people seem to think about things in that kind of way.
Why not just get everything?
We want it all, and we want it now. But you know, someone that has had the pleasure of working in the women's sports space in cricket and football for a long time, the amount of times you sort of hear someone thinking out loud and kind of think, well, we could do that, but we need to do that first. You kind of think, we can multitask here,
yes,
you know?
yeah.
But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just on the priorities list. But like you say, but both can be done at the same time. Mr. Clerk. Tight field on here by the Blaze, denies a run to Kelly Castle.
But again, you know, it's all visibility and awareness in different ways, and you know, if there's a lot of Blaze stuff going on around here at Trent Bridge, and that makes Nottinghamshire men's fans more aware of it.
Exactly, as Castle still faces and hits in the air, and it's not taken. So close. A bit of goalkeeping style from Grace Ballinger, tries to take the catch.
I'll tell you what, Mary Earps would have been proud of it though. Palms it over the post.
Yeah, scoops it over the bar, kind of looking like, but
was hit quite fast. And you always forget the ball comes so fast in that part of the field, off the bat, behind square on the offside.
Kopak smacks it on the leg side. One run taken, and that's the end of the over. Sunrise is 108 for 8. Kelly Castle on 10 and Kate Kopak on 15. Partnership worth 24 off 27. Required run rate is over 36 now, so basically impossible, as I'm sure we've all imagined. 91.
Basically impossible. It's going to be a hell of a game if they do it from here.
I was trying to be a bit optimistic and kind, but I think it's best just to be brutal and say, 91 runs from 6 balls.
And again, coaches always talk about partnerships. There hasn't been a partnership of more than 25 in the innings. And actually credit to Kopak and Castle, because they've put together the second highest partnership of the innings. And, you know, for all of their excellence, it's not their primary role in the side, it's lower order batters. Now, to be finished off here by Munro. Was that short, flashed up, through deep third, and that will be 4. So it is now the highest partnership of the innings. Great credit to Kopak and Castle, who are making the most of their chance to have some fun in the sun as the lower order, and show the top order that maybe it's not quite as difficult. That classic cricketing dynamic in a batting collapse, where the lower order want to be able to come in later on and sort of joshingly say, well, it wasn't that bad, was it? I found it okay out there.
The music was a little bit harsh then. The lyric of "I'm going to be an optimist about this."
I was totally deceived. Was about a week early on at Kopak. There's a runnable 15. 4 balls left in the piece. Should say as well, it's been lovely to see the rainbow flag around Trent Bridge a fair bit too. As a member of the LGBTQ+ community and someone who plays for Graces, the world's first cricket club in that regard. Bowled! Beautiful from Munro. That's the end of Kopak, who has played a really good hand down the lower order here. 19 off 17. But with 3 balls left, is castled. 112 for 9.
See on the replay, an excellent bit of bowling from Munro. Kept it simple.
So just 3 balls left now. Taba Maksud comes out. He's had 2 innings in this competition this season. Made 2 runs from them. Trying at the very least see if she can preserve her red inker across the next 3 balls. And it is set to be a big win. We know this, and the Blaze are going to finish top.
Yeah, I have seen Abtar Maksud hit a few 6s though, so definitely hit a ball far.
Well, it's the modern era, isn't it? Range hitting exists for everybody. And why shouldn't it, of course? Everyone's got a bat. That is probably, across broadly speaking, a generation or so, one of the biggest changes in cricket at the top level. No ball from Munro. Of course, Final round of fixtures on Wednesday. Western Storm versus the Blaze at Cardiff. The South East Stars versus the Sparks at Canterbury. Vipers versus the Sunrisers at Hove. And the Thunder versus the Diamonds at Blackpool. And then finals day at New Road, Worcester. Swipe and a miss from Maxoud.
Felt that from here, that swipe.
Yeah, if there was runs for bat speed, that was 6, no doubt. So we'll come out and have a swing. Everybody's up on the offside apart from cover point. Everyone's back on the onside apart from short fine leg. Decent clout on this. Might think of 2, but they'll stick at 1, and it's a good decision.